much and thanks for coming, for speaking with us just about like the working holiday experience. And I guess that's really what we want to get into straight away is you're here in Australia, you're coming for however long it's going to be.
Yeah.
So what, I guess, drove you or started off the adventure to come here in the first place? What was that process like?
Well, I actually wanted to come out here ages ago. I did Asia back in 2019, just backpacking on my own. And then, I feel like once you've done it once, you're like, oh, it's actually not that scary and it's so much fun.
You're not going to get shot?
No, apparently not. No, you realise. And I just had so much fun, had such a good time. And then I came home and as soon as I came home, I just was like, why did I come home? I still had money as well. I hadn't gone over my budget. And I was just like so upset. And I was like, cried to my mum and that. And my mum was like, you can go back if you want. She was like, no one's going to be funny with you. No one's going to get annoyed. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, so I just booked a one-way ticket to Singapore. I thought I'll do that for a couple of days and then I'll do Australia because just always had wanted to do it anyway. I've got family out here as well, so it would be great to see them. But then obviously, same as everyone, COVID, so couldn't come out.
Okay, so what is that, 2020?
Yeah,
start
so
off?
I'd like just come back from Asia at the end, sort of like November 2019. And my old job had asked for me back when they heard that I was back from Asia. And I was like, okay, and I agreed to it. And within a month, I was thinking, what did I actually even come back for? I was like, so then I was like, January, I was like, right, I'm going to book the flights and everything, get ready to go. And then that's when it was all on the news. And I thought, it's just going to blow over soon. And obviously it didn't.
Not a good time, but also not a big deal. Yeah. Okay. So you pretty much were like, all right, this waited out for a little bit, but you sort of recognized that you needed to pause briefly?
Well, no.
Or not really?
No.
Okay.
I didn't. I was upset like the whole year. I still wanted to go. But obviously Australia didn't really open up again until February this year. So I ended up taking a completely different route and ended up working in Dubai for a year because there was nothing else open, nothing else I could go and do. So it was better than sitting at home for another year. So
Dubai was, I mean, I don't know anything about this. So Dubai was what? It was just free reign, do as you please there?
No. I was an early years teacher.
Okay.
So I was working in a British style nursery.
But did they have, with Australia, you couldn't get in during that time, really?
Dubai, yeah, they were locked down for quite a long time.
Okay.
So I didn't get out there until August 2021. But, I wanted to go to Australia in 2021, but it still wasn't open. And I was like, well, how long do you sit around and wait for it to be open?
Yeah.
So I was thinking when I saw that opportunity, I thought, right, I'll do that for now. And then as soon as I do hear Australia's open, that's it. I'm
Jump
ready
ship?
to go. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how early on, it sounds like you were pretty into your travel, like it's just something you knew you wanted to do. In fact, you mentioned to me beforehand that your parents were well aware that at some point in time when you came of age, you were just going to be off.
Yeah.
Why has that always been? Do you always recall being someone that's wanted to just go to other places?
Yeah. So luckily, I've got such a lovely stepdad. I know most people hate their stepdad and row with them and everything. We've always got on really well. And when he was my age, he went and did backpacking around Thailand, India, loads of things. So he always used to get me watching travel documentaries and telling me all his hilarious stories from when he was my age. And so then the best thing was when I was nearly 18, they said to me, my mum and stepdad, they were like, do you want a party in the local hall for your 18th back home? And I went, yeah, great. And they went, or do you want instead to go to Thailand for 3 weeks? We show you how you book all your buses, your ferries. We're just going to go with backpacks. We're not taking suitcases like we usually do. And then once you're old enough and you want to go, that's it. You can go because this is your training. So they're like, as long as you do good in school before this, then when you're 18, we'll take you.
So you did well in school?
Well, I was doing well at the time. It was nearly the Christmas break, and they were like, as long as you finished all your coursework, for what I was doing at the time, if you finish all your coursework before it's time for us to go, then we can go. So I finished it all, but I didn't do great in school. But at that time, I was doing all my homework and my coursework. So.
And looking back, do you feel jaded or do you feel regretful for not doing well in school, or now you just look back and
Not at all. I've done so many things without even a university degree, and I think we got pressured so much to go to uni, And actually, like, none of my friends that went to uni are doing anything that's to do with their uni degree. I've got now a childcare qualification from the UK. That's allowed me to work on cruise ships. That's allowed me to work in Dubai. That's allowing me to work here when I want to work in nurseries here. So here you guys recognise it as a certificate-free early childhood qualification. Back home it has a different name. So considering it was just a qualification I did for free, like, it's opened so many doors for me.
Elite.
Yeah.
Did you have a plan in mind about that? Did you go into that being like, I know the doors that this can open for me, or it was just happenstance?
Just one of those really lucky things in life. So I don't know what you guys call it here, but like back home, when you finish school at 16, you either go to college, but it's not uni, it's different, or you go to sixth form, and sixth form is attached to your current school. And so I won't go too much into it because it's always a different. But with my sixth form, their policy was you can join the sixth form, but you have to do something to help the community once a week. And everyone was like, ugh, like, we're all teenagers, no one wants to do anything.
We just want to get pissed and party, come on.
Literally, I was like, oh, and I was like to mum, I was like, what can I do? I was like, I didn't even know what I did. I was doing 4 A-levels that are absolutely nothing to do with what I do in my life now anyway. And I was like, just didn't. And my mum was like, oh, well, my friend works at the school down the road in the after school club, and you just help put out the dinners and you help the kids with their homework and you play with them until their mum and dad come pick them up. She's like, why don't you just do that once a week? And I thought, yeah, okay, fair enough. And the principal or whatever was like, yeah, we'll sign that off. That's fine. And then as I was doing it once a week after school, I was thinking, no, actually isn't that bad. I was like, I'd actually probably be quite good at this. It's quite nice and it's quite fun. So then after that, I thought, I'll go do a childcare qualification just because I can get jobs in nurseries and preschools and everything. But at the time, I had no idea that, I could work in kids clubs in Europe with that as well if I wanted to, it turns out, or I could do a ski season with that. So I just had no idea. And I feel like I wish someone had told me that when I was 16 because I wouldn't have bothered going to sixth form for those 2 years. I would have gone straight and done the childcare qualification. So...
Okay, well, yeah. I guess maybe you are that person to tell.
Well, yeah, I am now. Yeah.
I mean, that's a very fortunate way that things sort of went about.
Yeah, I'm just lucky it worked out.
So your mum was the true genius of this situation.
She was. Yeah.
She found out. She's like, just do this, and then you found the little nugget of gold in there. That's really cool. So that then led you to go, well, if I just do this, because now I think I'm actually suited to it. I'm quite good at it. And then. What was the course like? Was it so you're saying 2 years, was it?
Yeah, so it was 2 years and it was mainly like coursework based, but then 2 days a week you'd have to go into a nursery or a preschool. And so you had to get like a set amount of hours.
You're getting paid during this?
So it depended. It was meant to be, I was lucky. Like some people just did volunteer work and that was purely it. Like it was just, they have you there to help. I was lucky that they said, oh, we really like you. Do you want to, like, we'll pay you. Like, obviously it wasn't a lot of money because it was only 2 days a week. And then I was lucky that I managed to like get jobs from that as well. So
yeah, well, some money is a lot more than no money.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially when you're like 19.
Cool. So it takes 2 years to go through that program. As you said, so a lot of it was actually, most of it was in person plus then going in and doing prac basically, but sort of paid for. And then how long into that journey did, I guess, those doors you start to realise were actually open to you to go do the cruise-based work?
So my goal was, once I finished that, I wanted to work at this really good private school down the road from where I live because I knew working at that private school would open doors for me. And I'd worked at a few other private schools part-time as well. So I thought if I at least get like 2 years under my belt here at this school, it's going to look very good on my CV. And so I did that. And then once I got to 22, that's when I started wanting to go off and do the traveling and everything because I already had 2 years under my belt. And yeah, I just thought, well, I've got enough experience on my CV now and I can travel, but I can always come back to nursery and childcare work because of what's going on my CV.
It's nice having that safety net. I think we are like just generally moving into an age where the uni degree, or I guess maybe it's college for you guys, it's maybe not the only career path, and maybe it'll still be another generation before everyone's like, oh, uni's not the the be
It's
all
not the
end
be all
all
and
and
end
then
all.
the next step.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other ways that you can sort of, carve out a life that you really, really actually enjoy as
Yeah.
well. So it's very interesting to see just from your thing that you're like, oh, well, I just did this. And then
Yeah.
this next thing came up, which worked out completely in your favor. And I guess your parents took you were saying, for this backpack journey in
Yeah.
Thailand. So that was previous to you doing this course?
Yeah, that was all way before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Because I've never done a backpacking adventure with my family.
Yeah, no, it's really, I'm like one of those lucky ones. I'm the one that had the cool mum and dad. I'm the one that everyone could come round to us because my mum and dad would let them smoke or whatever, have house parties like twice a year, and everyone wanted my mum and dad to join in. Like, no one was like, oh, like about they loved my mum and stepdad. So yeah, and when we went, it was just great because he's told me all his mad stories about like getting nearly with ladyboys in Thailand and then realising it's a ladyboy. No, he got dragged off a motorbike because his friend went, come here. And he went, what? And he was like, didn't you see the Adam's apple? He went, my parents have always been very honest with me about what they were like when they were my age and everything. So we just had such a laugh. We did everything. We did like Bangkok, Koh Samui, Koh Phangan. We went to full moon party in the jungle. Like, we did so much.
Full moon party?
Yeah.
With the fam.
With your mum and dad. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So how you saying 18 then?
Yeah, I was 18, yeah.
Okay. All right. Good timing for a full moon party.
Yeah, it was very good.
Looking at that, so that you said that it was a 3-week-ish trip?
Yeah. So because of that, because my stepdad's done Thailand before, he's obviously got a good idea of how long it takes. So he said, look, we're not going to have time to do northern Thailand. So we're just going to stick to doing southern and doing like some of the islands because we only got 3 weeks. So,
and looking at that 3-week trip, what do you think for you were sort of the big lessons that the parents were trying to teach you, or maybe they were just trying to have a good time with you as well? But what were the things that you really pulled up and like, okay, now I know for when I do it myself, this is that was really handy.
Just keeping your wits about you when down the big streets like Koh San Road and stuff. Every Asian country I feel like has their own version of that road. It is a fun road and you are going to get, but there is pickpockets. Be careful who you talk to. And also just making sure, like when you're booking the ferries and everything, you're making sure you're booking it through someone proper, not just someone saying, I can do that for you, I'll do it for cheap, because you do get stitched up. They seem really honest and lovely at the time sometimes, but then you're kicking yourself thinking, I should have just gone actually to the sea ferry terminal and just booked it then and there. So...
okay, so wits about yourself. Does that mean you are yet to have anything stolen from you? Have you made relatively drama-free?
Very lucky, touch wood. I feel like considering all the things I have done, all the countries I've been to, I've been very lucky that I've not had anything nicked. I've not had any scares. I've been very lucky.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I do hear of people having like a nightmare and stuff, but I've been very lucky, touch wood.
I think I've only had the only big one for me was phone stolen, which I always found strange because I was like, what are you going to do with it?
What are you getting from this? Yeah.
I can lock it. I did find out, or maybe I read an article at some point that was trying to explain why your phone gets stolen. And I think it was that they just sell it for parts. So it's not that the phone itself is like usable, but it's the parts themselves that have like utility or value there, which I was like, well, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, because I've never really understood that one either, because you've got the Find My iPhone and you can disable it and everything. So I was like, so what are you really getting from this? Yeah. Still
very annoying though.
Can't of course.
That. Yeah. So fast forward a little bit more. You've done the Thailand trip. You've got your qualification. Oh no, you're about to go on.
I did after that. Yeah.
Got the qualification now. And at what point in time is the plan formulating for where you want to go? Like, how are you deciding this is where I want to go next, or what I want to do? So
basically, for me, when I was 18, I was kind of touching on this earlier with you. My mum and stepdad had seen on the telly. There was a TV show all about the like behind the scenes, the lives of crew members for Princess Cruises, and I didn't realise, you just never, because we've never done cruises. That's not the type of holidays we go on. I didn't realise they've got a kids club on board. So there's one for 3 to 7-year-olds, 8 to 12, 13 to 17. And my mum and dad shouted me in and they were like, Linz, come look at this. They were like, you'd be so good at something like that and you'd get to travel the world, you'd get to see the world. So I was like, oh, okay. And I looked into it and it said you can't apply until you're 21 because it's like the rules for an American cruise line. And then very annoyingly, when I was 21, I had to have a big surgery on my spine. So that put me out for like, you know, I had to recover and everything. I couldn't apply when I was 21.
Shit, was that an injury? Like,
no, it was that, have you heard of scoliosis?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just that. They'd been monitoring it since I was like 12. And just every year they were like, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, it's not that bad. Oh, it's not. And then as soon as I got to 21, they were like, yeah, you need surgery now. And I was like, I don't want it. And they're like, you need it. And I was like, but I want to go on a cruise. They were like, no, you can't apply next year. I was like, oh, okay.
To anyone that doesn't know, I was actually a physio in my previous life.
Oh, there we go.
So for the scoliosis, and oh God, I could get killed here as well if I get this wrong. But I believe that means that the angle of the spine that is either tilting in one direction or the other, which is typically a birth effect. But it has to go past a certain angle for it to be considered worthwhile for surgery. I myself actually have scoliosis as well.
But is it not worthwhile for surgery yet?
No. And it's unlikely that it will go down that route now.
Well, yeah, because
I'm fully grown at this point. So. And so, I think a significant portion of the population have a version of scoliosis. Yeah. It's both, you know, we're not entirely sure if it's, you know, the lifestyle factors of things and just favouring one side that you get a bit. But I think it's largely from birth. You have a slight angling and then it's just, are you unlucky enough that it kind of gets off worse?
To that point, yeah.
So for you, obviously, was it noticeable? Like, was it painful?
I was very lucky. I feel like I'm just very lucky in life. I wasn't in any pain. But I remember, like, we've got Britain's Got Talent. I'm sure you've got Australia's Got Talent or whatever. And girls would come on saying, I wanted to be a dancer, but I've got scoliosis and I'm in agony every day, but this is my last dance and blah, blah. I wasn't in any pain. I wouldn't have known I had it unless it was for my mum. We went shopping one day. You know, you're growing all the time, you need new clothes. And I was like, my mum was like, yeah, that dress is nice, but, you know, stand up straight. And I went, I am. She went, no, but properly. And I went, I am. She went, no, but properly, Lindsay, stand up straight. And I went, I am. She went, oh my God, there's something wrong with your back. And I was like a dog going, what, like that, trying to look at my back. And then she's trying to take photos, but that was like before we all had iPhones. So she's taking a picture on her rubbish, like Nokia that does have a camera, like, and I'm like, I can't see anything wrong with it. And she's like, there is something wrong with you, I'm telling you. So I would never have known. And then even when I was 21, so that was like when I was like 12, she said that.
Okay.
But then even when I was 21, I still wasn't in any pain. So
had it worsened?
It had worsened. That's why I had to. So they'd monitored it since I was 12 and every year said, no, you don't need it. No, you don't need it. No, you don't need it. And then when I was 21, they were like, you need it. And I said, but I'm not in any pain. I said, I don't want to. I want to go work on a cruise ship. And they were like, trust me, you're better off getting this now whilst you're still living with your mum and dad. And they can like look after you. You can take 6 weeks off work and it's going to be paid for because legally they have to. And also like the later you leave it, the harder it's going to be to bounce back from. They went, you'll bounce back from this within 6 weeks. We're telling you now. They're like, you'll be fine. They're like, but if you leave this until you're 30, then, you know, what's your situation going to be like? Will you have kids? Will you have to take time off work? Is it going to be a night? Are you going to be in agony? So it was just, I really didn't want to get it, but it was just one of, my mum was like, look, you can apply for the cruise ship next year. Just leave it for now. And then, so then when I was 22, I did apply for the cruise ship and it was all fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as it sits, feeling all right? Still pain-free?
I still wouldn't even, like, I completely forget I've had it until, like, say we're all on the beach and someone goes, oh, what happened to your back? And I go, oh, yeah. Because it was, like, so many years ago now. And because I've just never had any pain from it. So
now do you have a nice upright posture?
Yeah, I think so. Some people have said that. My nan thinks I'm taller. I'm not sure if I am, but she's sure I am. So who knows?
I'm glad to see that. I mean, you seem perfectly straight to me.
Yeah, thank you.
The plan's formulating really about what you're going to do, where you're going to go. You've got the cruise ship. You saw the TV show and your family said, this is a good idea.
Yeah.
And you went, yes, this is a good idea.
Yeah.
So you go do the cruise ship and I think you did that, you were saying, for about 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months. So I just did the one contract. Yeah.
Okay. And then after that sort of period of time, or sort of even during that, were you already planning what's next?
Yeah, so I'm very like that. I'm always like, right, what's next? What's next? Every year I'm like quite meticulously organized. So as I was on it, I thought, right, from what I'd heard from all my other friends on the ship, they'd been doing it for like 5 years. And the ship I was on, turns out it's the best of the entire fleet. There's like, I don't know if there's more now, but at the time there was like 18 ships in the fleet. And they were like, this is the best ship out of them all. You get, it's the most parties in the crew bar. It's like a real party scene. You get off in the best destinations. You get the best room, because in all the other ships, you're on deck 3 and it's a tiny room. There's no portholes. And also they said to me, the manager that we had, they were like, she is so nice. Like, we have never been allowed this much time off before. They were like, you'd be very lucky to get someone like that again. And so with all that taken into consideration, I thought, what's the point in doing a second contract? Because as well, I thought, what if on my second contract, they put me on one of the Alaskan ships? Now, I'd like to see Alaska one day, but I don't want to be in Alaska for 6 months. Do you know what I mean?
Wouldn't that be freezing?
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking, and they said it on that one, it's not really a big party atmosphere in the crew bar.
No, because everyone's shivering the whole time.
Well, you know, and I thought, is it really what? Because it's not a lot of money, but that's because, you know, you're not paying for your room and your food and your drink is all for free. So they don't pay you a lot, but you are having an amazing experience because you're seeing the world, you're working and meeting people that you would never meet 5 minutes down the road from your house. But I just thought, okay, well, with all that in mind, there's no point doing a second contract. I've seen 21 countries now on a loop for 6 months. I thought, right, I think now it's time to go and do Asia next. So that's when I started planning my big Southeast Asia trip whilst I was still on board.
If you don't mind, I'm going to take a second to actually ask about how you plan. And that may sound very silly, but to me, planning comes only when it's absolutely necessary, which is not the way I would recommend anyone to do it.
Yeah.
So when I try to go and do it, my calendar is a mess. I usually use just like notes on my phone and like dot points, which inevitably gets sort of like lost and destroyed. So it's something I'm aware that and my partner will agree with me that I need to get much better at. But for you, like how does the planning process actually work for you? Like how do you get it done?
So what I like to do and what I was doing back then, and I still do it, I did it for Australia as well. I will Google basically, like I'll look at the map first and I'll see like what is the best route for doing a country. So like for when I did Vietnam, people say either start in Hanoi and work your way all the way down to Ho Chi Minh, Saigon, or the other way around. And just what are the best places, like the must visit places, and what are the things to do in each place. So usually I will make a note like that. Okay, like Hanoi. Okay, I want to do that in Hanoi. Then next down here is Hoi An. I'm going to get a bus down to Hoi An. What I want to do that. So I make like a meticulous list of every town, every city, and like the top 3 best things that I want to tick off my list. So it takes a long time, but like I know a lot of people think, oh, I can't be, but I'm one of those ones that thinks, oh, I can't wait to open up Microsoft Word and make some notes here. I'm the opposite. I would like sit there for hours and will make notes.
Okay, so does that mean have you travelled with a lot of other people or not really?
No, so this time in Australia is the first time I've actually travelled with people, whereas when I did Asia, I did it completely on my own. Obviously, I had that stint with my mum and stepdad in Thailand, but then I went out to started off in Vietnam when I was 23 and
did you with your friend just recently, were you the planner or it was a shared? Yeah. Okay, all right.
But she was good. She was a contributor, whereas most people... So I loved her because when we was in Cairns, which is pretty much where we began everything, I said, right, let's sit down and make a list. And she was more than happy to be like, I like that. That sounds good. Because I already had my list from Microsoft Word on my phone of every place on the East Coast that I wanted to do and what I wanted to do in those places. So I say, like, have a look at that. Do you like anything on there? You're happy to go, oh, yeah, it's on the Greyhound route anyway. So she was great to, like, plan things with. But, yeah, I basically just was like, do you like all that? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, great, I'm going to book it all now. So, yeah, we just booked it all together.
Okay, that's good. That's again, the relationship that I hope to have with anyone I'm traveling with is just how much the planning, like I'm happy to be involved in the process. I think it's just not a natural thing I'm going to go out of my way to do.
Yeah.
Like I honestly just don't think of it. It's not like I go, oh, planning, like, oh, don't want to do that. It's just, there's something about maybe my brain. And again, I'm sure I could put an alarm in or something and remind myself. Because I imagine you're doing it sort of at the end of the day. Just
so
like,
I feel like for me, particularly when I was in Dubai, it was a bit of like an escape and a looking forward to thing for me, because my job started to be not as good as I thought it was going to be. It wasn't sort of everything I was promised. So I'd finish my work at 3:30 and I'd get in from work, do my paperwork, and then once the paperwork was finished, I'd be like, okay, so I did a write-up for Cairns yesterday. Okay, what's next? Okay, Townsville Magnetic Island, let's research that. So I'd like Monday to Friday each day when I got in from work, I'd just do a different thing on the East Coast until I felt like I was satisfied.
Okay, so the planning process does take up...
It did take a lot of time. It wasn't, I didn't sit there and smash it all out in one go. It did take a good few weeks for me to make a list.
Okay, that would be my attempt. My initial attempt, I think, if I was planning a trip, would be how much of it can I get done in the one session? But that's where I'm looking at it as more of a chore, because I do really like the idea of very basic things set up in my mind so that I know things are organized. So when I say I don't plan, like I of course will know where I'm actually going and like where I want to stay and like how long-ish I'm thinking of staying there. And then I want to have a few other destinations in mind that I know I want to make my way to. But the how I get there and the whys and and if something changes, I'm more than happy with just like I'll disregard all of that potential points to then go elsewhere, because I like that idea of flexibility. However, I do know that the problem with this is the time that you do want to go do something, it might be booked out, or you do lose out on some options there as well. So that's the give and take.
Here, like I'd actually say I was a bit more spontaneous and flexible when I was in Asia. But here, I think because you guys have been closed for 2 years and everyone has come in one go, everything is so booked up, like hostels, everything. Whereas when I was in Asia, say if I really was enjoying it somewhere, I used to go downstairs and go, can I book an extra night? And they go, yeah. And I just do that every day until I thought, I'm finished with it here now. Whereas like we do that in Cairns and they were like, no, we're sorry, we're fully booked. And we'd be like, oh God, right. Okay, we've got to go on to Townsville next then, and we'll go to Magnetic Island. But yeah, so this time around, I've not been half as flexible as I was in Asia.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually, I don't know how long after the borders opened I'll be in touch with people from all over the country.
Yeah.
And that was one of the funny reports starting to come through, which is there's no place to stay, and just hearing people, backpackers through the Facebook groups, particularly Cairns, as you were saying, like seem to be the big hot spot where people are like, there doesn't seem to be accommodation anywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I mean, that's both a great thing that people are actually back in the country and traveling and working and doing all that sort of stuff, but also crazy that people are now going, there is no, like how quickly it shifted from there is no one to being, there is no room, not enough room.
No room at all.
What is going on?
I know.
But I guess a lot of places also closed down. So that was the other issue.
I think so,
is the supply of beds, as an example. I know from plenty of rural towns, even places that another hotspot, Bundaberg, for backpackers, I think it was about 30 to 50% of backpackers closed down, maybe at least temporarily, some permanently, just from reports over there. So you've got the double issue of more people and less. So it's how quickly things change and turn around.
Yeah.
So to quickly rewind back, because I know we skipped forward a bit as well. So you're saying you were planning sort of the trip in Dubai, and this was because, again, you originally wanted to come to Australia, couldn't because of the pandemic. And then, is it just a really common thing amongst even your friend group? Was Australia just like one of the big places people want to go? Like,
no, like my friends don't seem to actually have. Well, actually, my friend Holly, she's quite keen to do Australia with her boyfriend one day. But like my other mates, it's just so far away. I think. But I've always just had quite. Before even my family, some of my family have emigrated here. Before they'd even emigrated here, I always wanted to go. My mum and stepdad, they actually went for my stepdad's 40th. So I went and stayed like with my nan and my dad for 3 weeks whilst they were there. And, I love all their pictures when they came back and all that. And, we've still got a boomerang in the hallway and all these pictures. And I just thought, I want to do that one day. because they had such a good time.
Okay.
And then it's like even better now that my uncle is here, because I hadn't seen him since 2019 when we met up in Bali, because that was like only over the road for him and I was already in Asia anyway. So, but otherwise, you know, I never get to see him. So it's been lovely since I've been here, being able to catch up with him. And then I've caught up with another cousin that I haven't seen for 15 years. I've just been at another auntie and uncle's here in Perth that I haven't seen for about 20 years. So
it's crazy for me, the sort of the spread family experience where people live in all different places, because for me, everyone is in Perth.
Yeah.
Like all of my extended family, there was only one person in my like kind of known extended family that currently lives outside of Perth, and that is my brother who is in Sweden. And outside of that, there's not even people in like Sydney or Melbourne from our family. Like from both mum and dad's side, just everyone's here.
Oh my gosh.
Which is really very selfish of them, because I'd like to be able to go travel and stay at their places. But, you know, what can you do?
No, we're very widespread. We've got Canada, America, South America, Australia. Like, we've got family spread pretty much everywhere.
So you Dubai, plan for Australia, and then you finally make your way when borders open up. And so maybe just from the get-go, where do you sort of fly into?
Because I really always wanted to do Singapore. So I did Singapore first for 3 days. And then it probably would be easier to fly into Perth because obviously geographically it's nearer. But I wanted to start off in Sydney because I was desperate to see my uncle, my auntie, my little cousin, because I'd only seen him when he was 2. And then...
Who's now how old?
He's 4 now, so he's lovely. But so 1 week catching up with them, because they're on like the outskirts of Sydney, so I wasn't like right in town. So 1 week catching up with them, then I went for 1 week in a hostel in Sydney so that I could actually like look around and see everything. And then that's when I flew up to Cairns, just because it was September, so at the time of year it was the best way to like chase the sun. So go that way round rather than that way round. So it just worked out better sun-wise, because we're British and we love the sun.
As you were saying before, you actually do have a bit of a tan, I must admit. Probably the most tanned English person that I have met, I can
This
now
is
say,
actually weak, because I haven't been in the sun since Byron Bay, and that was like end of October, I'm going to say, because I've just been in Melbourne and Tasmania for the past couple of weeks. So this is faded, believe it or not.
I think it's, I'm feeling slightly insecure by the fact that I think I now have whiter skin than someone from
my cousin yesterday, I haven't seen her for like 20 years, and she said to me, she's sitting there, she was like, "You got fake tan on?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, because she's English as well originally, obviously, like, so yeah, but just very lucky.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got some Australian in you.
Maybe.
So you go up to Cairns, you see the family, go up to Cairns, and this is when your big plan itinerary that you've been organising, this is where it kicks off. And was your friend a part of this plan from the get-go, or how did you guys...
So we have an interesting story. So I've always done Asia and everything else on my own. I did Europe on my own, like all my solo traveling. But this time around, I ended up somehow in a WhatsApp group with 4 or 5 other girls back in like February when your borders opened up, but I was still in Dubai until the end of June, and ended up all hitting it off and agreeing, let's meet up in Sydney and then we'll all fly up to Cairns together. So I actually, my friend that I was telling you about before, we didn't know each other before. We met here in Sydney in the beginning of September.
How did you get into, how did the WhatsApp group?
So it was, there's a Facebook group called Australia Backpackers, and I was in that years ago when I was preparing to come out here, and I just forgot all about it. And then when I was in Dubai, I kept getting notifications for it on Facebook, and I thought, why is that popping up again? And then it was, all the notifications was, Australia's reopening, apply for your work and holiday visas now. And I thought, oh, I was like, this is good. So then, then that group became really like loads of comments and posts all the time again. So someone from that group added me into a WhatsApp group of just a few girls, and we all ended up hitting it off. And so when we was in Cairns, it was more like a girls' holiday. Like when you're 18, you go away to our version in the UK is going to like Magaluf or Malia in Spain when you're 18. I think for you guys, it's like going to Bali, or you've got schoolies and all that, haven't you? So,
Yeah.
and obviously
Bali for the West Coast, maybe even for the East Coast,
Yeah.
but with Sundays typically and things, I guess, for the East Coast as well.
Yeah. So, and then obviously it was so fun because all like the footy lads were there, which we didn't know about. We didn't know this was a thing. We thought it was like, we call it a stag do, but I think you guys call it bucks or something.
Bucks party.
So we thought it was bucks party, like all these lads dressed up and everything, but it's just, they're like, oh no, we play footy, and we're like, oh, okay.
Did they flex their guns as they were telling you?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. No, it was good. Cairns was really funny. Like, I really enjoyed it.
So again, how did you, I know you're obviously planning, you're Googling and everything, but what made you hit on Cairns? All right, I'm going to go Cairns. Was it purely just a weather decision, or was
it was partly weather, but also,
and sorry, for people that don't know, Cairns is, you've got the east coast of Australia, Sydney's a little bit further down, then you've got Brisbane, which is up in Queensland, and then much closer to the top, near the peninsula, you've got Cairns, so a bit more tropical, near sort of the equator. Yeah,
so for me, when I'm planning, I'm not keen on watching, what's it called, like vlogs. I seem to be better at reading things and retaining. That's just, and like making notes. So there's been this guy that I've like for years just reading his blog. I don't even know. I think he might have a YouTube channel, but I've never watched it because I just prefer to read his blog, called Will the Broke Backpacker. And he always like will give you like a really good itinerary depending on like how it goes. How long are you planning to come to Vietnam for example? You say 1 to 2. He goes, okay, this is a good itinerary. For a month? Okay, this is a good itinerary. So he had one for Australia as well. And he said as well, if you're planning on chasing the sun and you're coming August, sort of September time, you're probably best to start off in Cairns. So that was partly my decision. I thought, well, I want to chase the sun. And also then when I looked into the Greyhound buses and everything, the Greyhound buses begin in Cairns. So I thought, well, that's ideal because then you just hop on and hop off the whole way down. And it runs from Cairns all the way to Melbourne.
Brilliant.
So
sounds pretty reasonable to me. So how did you come across the Will the Broke Backpacker?
I think it was when I was on the cruise ship and I was like Googling like what to do in Asia. I think it's just it just came up on Google search and I thought I liked his style and it was just quick and concise, whereas I feel like some people go on and on and on. Do you know what I mean? And his was always just quite to the point. And he would always, at the end, say he has a little list of what's the best hostel. But depending on episode, are you a digital nomad? If that's the case, this hostel's best because you can get your work done and it's still a little bit social. Are you looking to party and you don't care if you can't sleep because it's so noisy? Great, stay in Gilligan's. Do you want to sleep a little bit? Stay in Mad Monkey. He's quite good the way he puts things. So depending on what mood I'm in as well, I think, like if I need a couple of days to chill, I think, right, I'll go in that one because he said that's quite, or just from looking at reviews on Hostelworld. And then I'm like, no, if I really want to be social, then I'll go in the party ones for a few days.
Cool. Well done to Will.
Yeah.
And then, so you were just saying, sorry, I'm going to jump around every now and then,
right.
but Hostelworld, so you use that to book. Do you also use Booking.com, Airbnb?
Yeah, I use a bit of everything, to be honest. I mean, the good thing with Booking.com is you get the rewards for like, so sometimes you get, so sometimes I book with them. And then
I must admit, I like that because I think there was some sort of.
You do get a lot of cheaper deals like sometimes.
Genius.
The Genius
there was
discount.
that little status which I couldn't, you can't help but just be a bit like, ooh, I like that.
You get like a free upgrade to a better room for the same.
Like just a little hit of dopamine. I haven't done anything, but like they're rewarding me just for that little bit of loyalty, and I can't help but be like, it's kind of nice.
And then what else do we use? I don't really use Agoda. I use Agoda if it's sort of like the last, but that's in partnership with Booking.com anyway.
Yeah, okay.
And then, I mainly use that because Hostelworld's all right, but you have to pay a certain bit up front, whereas I prefer Booking.com, you don't pay until you get there, and it's always usually free cancellation.
I always just found the Hostelworld, it wasn't just, I don't know, it just didn't feel as nice to use.
Yeah.
And particularly like repeat use of it, I just found it was a little bit clunky, although it did have, I think, more options from a hostel point of view.
So me and my friend, when we were doing the East Coast, we'd look at both because sometimes there wasn't as many options on Booking.com, even though it was easier to book on there because you had the free cancellation and everything. But then there was more hostels actually listed on Hostelworld.
Yeah.
So we preferred to use Booking.com, but we would use Hostelworld as well.
Cool. So
Yeah.
hit us up with the landing cans. You do a little meetup with the WhatsApp group.
Mm-hmm.
And what sort of happens next?
So obviously it was great at first. It was like, it just did feel like a girl's holiday. I did kind of feel like I was 18 again and away. So that was fun, just partying for a few days. But then it quickly transpired and we realised, oh my gosh, the East Coast is so booked up and it is not working trying to book things for 5 of you at a time.
Yeah.
I think, and we all realised no one's angry with each other, but we are going to have to split off in twos now. So that was the thing. So I split off with one mate, others split off. Some of them wanted to start working anyway. So it's worked out quite well because we've kept in touch and we've all got an Airbnb booked for Sydney over the festive period. And
Perfect.
we're meeting up. So it's actually going to be quite nice because we've all been apart for months now and then going to catch up how we've all been since we all parted ways in Cairns, yeah.
That's going to be a really cool catch up.
Yeah.
Who's got the best stories?
We'll see. Yeah.
Cool. So you split off with your friend, and this is before you start the journey away from Cairns?
Yeah, so we were lucky. Before we split off from Cairns, we did a lot of day trips from Cairns. So rather than because there's not a lot of like backpacker accommodation, as I'm sure you know, in like Cape Tribulation and Daintree and all that. So we just did day trips to there and bungee jump, all that sort of thing is up there, which is great. And then once we felt like we'd done everything from Cairns upwards, that's when we decided to start working our way down the East Coast.
Again, so the little day trips, that was all in part of your planned itinerary?
Yeah, so this is a good story. So one of my friends said, you should go to the Happy Travels travel agent because they're really handy at helping you to actually book everything how you want it. And I thought, oh, great, because I've already got my little itinerary here. And we went into the shop and the lad that was serving us, like the travel agent, he was really nice and everything. And he was like, this is ideal because normally he's got to really sell every sort of thing. Like, you should go to Magnetic Island because you should go to Fraser Island because you get a 4x4. Whereas with me, I went, that's what I want to do, and handed him my Microsoft Word thing. And he was like, oh, you were the easiest customer I've ever had. And he was like, to my other two mates, he was like, are you both happy with all that? And they were like, yeah. And he was like, right, so booking them on it and everything. And then he said, you sound like me. And I said, maybe you're from near where I'm from. And he was like, where are you from? I said, oh, you won't know it. I said, it's a really small town in Surrey, because we realised we were both from Surrey. And he was like, try me. And I was like, said where I was from. And he was like, he's from down the road. He said, where did I work? I said where I worked. His mum worked at my work. Then I said something to my mates about my ex. I can't remember what I said, just somehow talking, but we got on the same topic. And he said to me, who's your ex? And I said, how old are you? He went, 28. And I went, you're going to know him. And I said my ex, and he was like, oh my God. And then turns out he's known my ex for years. We know all the same people. Actually think he's even been in my ex's house at the same time as me, but we just didn't even get introduced because I was coming in from a babysitting job and just went straight upstairs to bed. But we literally know all the same people. And we're just like, I'd just been in Australia for like 5 minutes and met someone 5 minutes down the road from back home, and we know all the same people.
This is a story that it blows everyone's mind every time it happens, and yet it does seem, I don't know if this happens to like your friends as well, but particularly just like the random just offshoot, some bizarro place, and you happen to meet someone that is in your neighborhood for you to be like, oh yeah, the world is small. And that story I feel like gets echoed way more often than it should.
Yeah.
I don't know what the mathematics is of that, the chances of all that sort of stuff happening. But damn, I feel like that story is a tried and tested fact. If you travel anywhere in the world, you're almost guaranteed to see someone or meet someone that lives like within your very close inner circle. Crazy.
I know. I still really get on with my ex and all his family. We're all really close. And his mum, she was out here for years, and her and her twin sister. But his mum ended up in the UK, and she had her family and her kids there, but his auntie, she stayed out here, and so she's got her family here and that, and they invited me to a family party recently, and I went and stayed the night and everything, and I was telling them this story as well, and they were like, no way. They were like, I can't believe that.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're sweet. You've booked all the stuff now, and then just, you're on your way? Do you booking a car?
No, because we just did the Greyhound.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So it was great. Yeah, because we paid for the 60-day pass. So it's just easy. You just put in where you want, I mean, it's just hop on, hop off wherever you want for 60 days.
How much is that?
Well, we were lucky.
Apparently.
I know. I think normally it's like $500 something, but we got it just before I came out here. I think I paid for it in like July or August because they had a special offer on. They had 55% off. So I think I got it for like $200.
Damn.
So, yeah, so really, considering you think 60 days, hop on and hop off. So I did all the way from Cairns back to Sydney.
Did you manage to get the deal of reduced visa application price?
No.
Okay,
No,
it's down that one.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you might have got just doubly lucky.
No.
Cool. So the Greyhound, what's it like on the bus? What's the sort of?
For the most part, it's all right. It is okay, and like, it's most people. It's just backpackers in the same boat and everything, but you do get the odd weirdo come on board. That's, yeah, I don't know. I had some woman on board one time. She kept going on about her side and that she needed to watch her side, and I thought, what's she on about? And I just went, okay, like and she kept saying it. I thought, God, she really wants me to ask what's up with her side. So I said, what's wrong with your side? What have you done? And she was like, oh, I've been stabbed. And I was like, all right. And she was like, I'm on the run from my husband. I've fled all the way from Queensland and I'm heading down to so-and-so and my family's picked. And I was like, okay. I was like, I just didn't really know what to say. And she's
holy shit.
Yeah. And she was like, and I've got a burner phone and he's still found me and he's on his way now trying. And I was like, I kind of don't want to be associated with you then. If you're saying he's on his way trying to find you now, I was like, the next time she turned around to talk to me, I had my sunglasses on and was pretending to be asleep because I just thought,
did it work?
Yeah, she left me. The next time I woke up, she was off the bus. So I was like, yeah. But for the most part, it's people your age that are backpacking as well. But then you do get the odd random on there.
How likely do you think her story was it legit? Like, did you feel that she really was maybe stabbed in the side?
I mean,
I shouldn't be laughing maybe.
I know.
Like,
I feel like if I'd been stabbed and was on the run, I wouldn't be telling people about it, would you?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Like complete
if I need
strangers?
help, maybe, like, I've kind of been stabbed. Look, I wouldn't mind some assistance to getting to the hospital, maybe, or like, you know, oh, this person is trying to kill me, but I probably wouldn't be like super subtle about it to the point of being like, I just hope someone asks me about, do you know?
Yeah.
Like, if it was happening, I'd probably just tell someone.
It was just a bit of, and especially when you're like, you're so tired anyway, and you just want to get to the next. It was a night bus as well, and I was just like, look, I'm a very sociable person, but I'm actually not really in the mood to talk right now. So
yeah, I think you're allowed to be as well. You know, nighttime, random person, huge baggage, like of this huge amount of weight that's about to be dropped in your lap. That you're like, I
don't want to deal with this.
I just don't even know how to begin. Oh.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of a weird one.
You were with friends at the point? That was
was when I was on my own after this, because me and my friend had been travelling together, and then she wanted to go off and start working. So I said, oh, well, I'm going to carry on. I've still got some time and everything. So, yeah, I think that was like the first time I was getting the Greyhound on my own. I was like, great, is this how it's going to be from now onwards? But no, it wasn't. It was just that one time. So, yeah.
I was about to say, you've almost got a story in your hands where maybe this has already been done before on Hollywood or something, but just a person just stays on the bus and just records people's stories. Yeah. Just like that one there. Who knows what happens?
Yeah. Who knows?
The story bus.
Yeah.
TM. So Cairns, making your way down, and I did see on your socials that you sort of hit a few sort of like classic places on the way back down. So you did a couple islands. I think you did 3 on the way down.
I've done more now. I did more in the end. I've got a really good app that I found where you can put a pin every time you've gone to somewhere. So it's a really good way of me tracking what I've done in Australia now.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
is that the one where the car moves slowly along each one, or no?
No, it's just a random one I found just when I was bored on the bus. I've just found it. It's called Pin Traveller. It's quite handy because when my family are like, where have you been? I just take a screenshot and I'm like, I've done from there all the way to there, because it's like you say like, oh yeah, I've just done Fraser Island. Most people back home are like what's Fraser Island? I don't know what that is. So it's a good way of like showing people.
Do you attach photos into that as well, or?
No, it's not one of those ones. It's just literally a pin travel app. But
okay. Just whilst you're on the app as well, you were saying before, calendar app. Which one do you use to
I
log
use
everything?
one. My friend got me on it. Oh no, my phone's there. Can't remember. It's got Time Tree. That's what it's called. Time Tree.
Time Tree. Okay, so that one's that's just your log of your calendar. You're saying color coordinated, and you kind of
because in the end, obviously, I'm booked all the way up to the 6th of January at the minute, and it's a lot for like, my uncle in Sydney. He's like, when are you back? What are you doing? When do you fly? So I can just send a screenshot of what I'm doing. So he's like, oh, okay, because it's hard for everyone to keep up with me because, 1 minute I'm there, 1 minute I'm here. So it's just quite, as well, my dad says to me all the time, your itineraries run out. Can you send me the itinerary for this week? So that he's not messaging me every day as well, because he says, I don't want to annoy you. I say, you're not annoying me. But he's always like, what are you doing today? So he'll message me going, oh, I see you've got Fraser Island. Have a great day, blah, blah, blah. So it's just, they can see what I'm up to each day as well.
I'm very impressed. Any traveling I've done, I have been horrendous at keeping the family informed. Yeah. It is largely a very quick phone call while still on the move as a check-in with the usual response of, no, it's been really good. I don't really know what I'm doing next. I think I'm going to go do this. Yeah. And then, anyway, we'll talk again in about a week's time.
Yeah. No.
Good on you for keeping up to date with everyone.
Yeah, I try my best.
In fact, again, this is something else you mentioned that I hadn't heard of that I thought was just very cute, which was the digital postcards that you can send off to, your grandparents to keep them in touch. Yeah. But it's obviously they're not going to use the socials or whatever.
Yeah, so the nan that I do that for, she's the only one that isn't with the smartphones or the social media, whereas my other nan, my nan and my step nan, they're into all that, my granddad, everyone. But yeah, this nan, she just can't get her head around it. So I just send her a postcard once a month. It's a British app, and you put your pictures on it. I put at the end, I'll put November 2022, and then on the back it's, hi nan, this month I've done this, and it just goes straight through her front door. So that's her way of being kept updated. I
think that's very cool. Do you know what the name of that is?
It's called Touch Note.
Touch Note.
Yeah, you probably have an Aussie app that's exactly the same, but just because I've still got a British bank account, obviously, I just use that because it just comes out once a month.
Again, is that something that you, like if you create that, it gets sent to your grandparents, but then do you have a digital record of that one as well? So
so you can look on your past orders and you can see like each one you've sent every month.
It's kind of I kind of like that idea of the sending out the postcards. It's sort of like your journal piece that you can keep everyone up to date with.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay, and whilst you're traveling down as well, do you have any particular like goals set for yourself? Like, is there something you're trying to get out of the trip or each section, or really you're just kind of in the zone of being like, I just want to enjoy each moment and the experience and the visuals and whatever?
It was just kind of seeing the sights. I mean, it's so far away. And, every year you see on the news, like New Year's, and you see the bridge and the Opera House, and you think, am I ever going to see that in real life? And then Great Barrier Reef, we did a scenic flight over, it's just mad to see it in real life and not on a documentary and everything. So, it's like, some people might not think anything of it, but for me, it was like, dreams coming true, things that you've only ever seen on the telly and actually seeing it in real life. You're like, so that's what I'm getting from it, is getting things that I've looked at on telly for years and seeing it in real life and experience it.
Did anything on that sort of route down, so we'll just pick between I think Cairns and sort of Byron Bay, so largely Queensland and the last little bit New South Wales, was there anything along that trip that really surprised you, or something that stood out that you were like, I really didn't expect, from what I'd planned out, that this was going to be something that I really sort of vibed with?
Yeah, one of them actually as well, because we was a bit, God, like dreading it, but looking forward to it at the same time. Like, I can be rough and ready. I go no makeup and whatever, just chilling in casual clothes and everything. But obviously, it's nice to have a shower and it's nice to have a proper toilet and everything like that. At Fraser Island, everyone was like, you're going to have a good time, but prepare yourself. It's a portaloo. It's minging. You're only allowed to flush if it's the second one. And there's no showers. And you're going to be sleeping in tents and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I used to go camping all the time when I was a kid. And it was grim. It was grim. But I also think that was one of the most fun things on the East Coast. I don't think I've laughed so much. Like, the group, because you all get put into a different 4x4 each for the 2 days that you're there. So it's like 4x4s. And like just the group we had, I think I was the only English person. 4 other people were Scottish. And like, I don't know if you like, the Scottish are so funny.
Yeah.
I was just in tears for 2 days. Just like our car was so funny. Everyone taking turns to drive. And I don't know, it was just such a good time, even though I looked and I felt disgusting, like the most disgusting I've ever felt in my life. But we were all disgusting and we were all in it together. It was one of those ones. No one was wearing makeup. Me and Scarlett said, why did we bring makeup here? We didn't wear makeup at all the 2 days. You know, we was just baby wiping because there was nothing else you could do. And it was like, yeah, we didn't need to bring that makeup at all.
So you mentioned the baby wipes. Now, this is only a new discovery for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Wet wipes, baby wipes, they're not something that I've ever really considered ever using.
Yeah.
And now they've just surfaced
Sometimes
to me how useful that they can actually be.
Yes.
Is there a item or set of items that you're like, I would highly recommend taking this to some place like a Fraser Island?
Yeah, always baby wipes, always. I mean, it does the job as much as it can. I mean, you can't always get sand out of everywhere, but you can get sand out as much as you can with a baby wipe and a bottle of water.
I was surprised that the baby wipes as well, you get a full pack of like, I don't know, it's like 100, 200 or something for like literally a couple of dollars.
Yeah.
And yeah, highly valuable, it turns out, in some situations.
Baby wipes have come on every single trip I've ever been on.
That and I'm now a big advocate for chapstick as well on things.
Yeah.
Just even now, I think I've got some dry lips. I'm like, damn, some chapstick would be really handy.
Really handy. Yeah, it's a good one.
So how for the groups as well? Is that so? The tour is booked, aka, are you meeting a group of people like on arrival there, or how is that working?
Yeah, so we just booked it through that travel agent, the one that's my ex's mate. We booked it through him, and then So usually the pickup is from certain hostels. So we was in Nomads in Nooster, and it said like everyone has to be up and ready for whatever time, and they're going to come and pick you up from there. So that's how it's. Those ones, the Scottish lot that we didn't know that at first they were staying in our hostel as well.
Right.
So it was great. So we all went together and we all just got on so well. We all keep in touch still and everything. But yeah, so you all get picked up from the hostel and then that's it. Then you end up being drove to Fraser Island, you get the ferry over, and then from then onwards you got the 4x4s.
So for you, how much of the mix up until this point has been like, you know, the classic go out food and sort of drinking, go out for destinations and sort of like visuals and views? How much of it's sort of nightlife and the party scene and, you know, the subsequent hangover scene? What's sort of your breakup of a lot of your trip?
Me and my mate were quite good. We didn't always plan to. It worked out where I was saying to you, a lot of things were booked up. So we'd want to say if we wanted to book something for a Tuesday, we'd be like, oh, sorry, we're actually fully booked until Thursday. So then we'd be like, right, we've got to hang around in Rainbow Beach for 3 days then, and then we'll get to Noosa on Thursday instead. So then that was kind of nice because during those times where we couldn't get to where we wanted to go, we'd have a little 3-day detox and we'd just eat healthy food, drink water and watch telly because she had a laptop. So we was like just watching films on her Disney Plus and all that, and then get back to the next place, back on it, being crazy again for a few days. Oh, there's no accommodation in Airlie Beach for a few days. Okay, well, 2 days detox and then back on it for the Whit Sundays on the Clipper, getting on it. Like, yeah, so yeah, it was quite, we didn't plan it that way, but it just kind of worked out that way. And we was also like, oh, it's probably good we have a few days off and then back on. So yeah.
So you feel like you've been mixing up the party, rest,
definitely,
sort of lifestyle pretty well.
Yeah.
And then for that, before we sort of move outside of Queensland, I guess, if you could only repeat that entire sort of Queensland section again, but you could actually only do 20% of that trip, what would you look to do? And I guess that can be from both a party point of view, it could be from the, I guess you said, the humour point of view on Fraser Island, or even just something that, you know, if you went back down along that line that you'd have to stop and redo again.
I'd say, well, definitely Cairns, but stay in Gilligan's because that's where the party's at. I mean, like, it was our first day. We'd just put our towels around the pool And we didn't know about this, like I said to you about the footy trips thing. We just thought it was a stag do or whatever. There's a bloke going around in a full bondage outfit and a lad in a full bondage outfit as well, but on his hands and knees pretending to be a dog with a ball in his mouth. And coming round, and we were all stroking his head like he actually was a dog. And it was just 4 nights of just so much fun, just having such a laugh partying. So definitely that's a good way to start off. And it was like a good icebreaker because we'd all only been talking on Facebook and WhatsApp for months. We hadn't actually met in real life yet. So it was quite funny. So it was a good way to break the ice. And then I'd say definitely do Magnetic Island. So pretty. And just like the base hostel there. So nice. It's right on the edge of the water. It's very clean. Like, it was probably one of the nicest hostels on the East Coast. Then I'd say definitely Fraser Island. Even though it is minging, you are minging for 2 days. It is funny. Like, it is a memory you'll never forget. And yeah, we saw some really good sights. And then what else would I say? Noosa was really fun. Noosa, it's the Nomads and Base hostel has been the best throughout the East Coast. That's like my best memories throughout the East Coast is always like in a Nomads or a Base hostel.
Shout out to Nomads and Base.
Decided to treat ourselves. We did 2 nights at the Versace in the Gold Coast. That's not a normal backpacker thing though, but there was a 2-night getaway package. So it was cheaper than usual. And also for us being British, we love the TV show I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, like the British one, because they film like it in that Versace hotel. When the celebrities get kicked out, that's where they stay and that's where the presenters stay. So we didn't book it because we cared about it being Versace. We booked it because we're like, that's where they stay on I'm a Celeb. And we were like, actually it's November, Ant and Dec might be here. They're the presenters. We were like, every time we was going out, we were like, trying to see if they were there, like, filming yet. And they were like, the staff were like, no, they're not here yet. It's another 2 weeks or whatever. We're like, oh.
Surely they'd say that anyway. Surely the staff would be like...
Yeah, exactly. And Scarlett was like, they're not going to tell us. I was like, okay. But, yeah.
If you could, just grab the little mic and see if you can get it slightly...
There.
Yeah. So I think it's better. Cool. All right, cool. The Versace, I did actually have a little look at that one that came up on, and that looked...
It was good. It was
fantastic.
Yeah, good experience.
Because you kind of need that break, right? Like if you're slumming it for a long period of time, which it's like I'm totally down with. I think most people are when they're backpacking. That's part of the experience is you're not living a super bougie life.
No.
And the fact that that's true, but you're surrounded by, however many other people that are also living
all the time,
sweaty and on, not in the best conditions, but it doesn't really matter that much. And that's, I think, kind of the magic of it in a lot of ways. Yeah. But having said that, after a prolonged period of time of doing that, just that sort of reset, refresh, treat yourself a little bit. It was
lovely. It was very hard to leave there though. We was like nearly in tears leaving. We were like, why did we do this?
But the fluffy bathrobe on you just.
It was. We had matching bathrobes and everything, and they were so nice. I was like, I don't know if they looked at us and went, oh, you're not our usual customer, or something, took pity on us. Because as soon as we got there, they gave us a $200 voucher to use in any of the restaurants or for room service. And I was like, I think I've heard that wrong. And Scarlett was like, no, they said that when we, and I said, nah, I don't think. And I rang them on the thing, and they're like, yeah, that's correct. So we didn't spend any money on dinner or anything in those 2 days because we did it with what was included in the $200 voucher. So we were like, yeah, I don't know if they were just being nice because they could tell we weren't the usual customer with the big backpacks and not looking very glamorous when we arrived.
Well, look, if anyone's going to Versace, just say that Lindsay sent you.
Yeah,
and that
hopefully I'll get a little discount each year.
Get that $200. I want that $200 restaurant
voucher. Yeah, why does she get it and I didn't?
Give me the Lindsay voucher. Come on. That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you just spend it on food?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because we already we went to the liquor store and got a few cheap bottles of Prosecco and vodka before because we're like, we ain't paying those prices.
Well, you got to be careful. I don't know if we will be allowed to say Prosecco much longer now.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you've seen that. Yeah,
no.
It's going the way of champagne potentially. So the Prosecco region that it originated from is trying to clamp down on the name being used elsewhere.
Oh,
advertised. So
I haven't seen this.
It came up in the Australian news because, of course, any time that a product here that sells well could potentially be dragged, which the name does mean a lot. It's like champagne. If you could sell champagne, it does. The name carries a lot of weight. And so we sell a lot of Prosecco in Australia.
Yeah.
And so everyone that sells Prosecco was like, no, we do not want that.
No.
So it's been a bit of a big news story for, I think, a couple of weeks. So we don't know how it's not, nothing's in stone, but technically Prosecco may not be Prosecco here for much longer. We'll have to see.
Okay, good to know. Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get sued either way. I think
Okay, hopefully
it's just
not.
it's just the companies.
Yeah.
So you've done your little sort of refresh luxury thing down at the Versace Hotel.
Yeah.
And then where was to next? Is that down to Byron after that?
Yeah, so then we're back to New South Wales after that. So
Okay.
to Byron. That was interesting.
Say more?
Just very hippie.
Yeah.
Just very hippie. I am, I can roll with it a little bit, but sometimes it was a bit too much.
What is too much hippie?
Too much hippie was, for me, the hostel we was at, constantly just playing trance music that was like, like in the night, like when you wanted to have a drink, no one else wanted to have a drink and everyone else was sitting there like that.
Stoned.
Yeah, just, and you were like, me and Scarlett don't smoke. We were like, so we just wanted to have a drink and have a laugh.
And you're just like, oh, it's so boring.
And everyone else is just like, yeah, man, and talking about deep things. And we were like, no. And my mate kept being like, oh, have you got the aux cape? Can I put something on? And they'd be like, no. They wouldn't. They were like, they could tell. Ruin our vibe. Yeah, they were like, they could look at me and her and they're like, you're not our vibe. Basically, you're not going to put this style of music on. We were like, oh, okay. But it was for like, we actually, when we first walked in, we were like, oh gosh, like a little bit prejudged. This isn't very us. But then we actually did have a really good time. We did have a lot, and we did end up talking to people, and it was a good laugh. But on first account, we were like, the first night when it was just that music and everyone was just laying around, we were like, oh, is this for us? Like, but no, we did still have a good time. It was fun. But
I saw that you made your way out to Nimbin?
Nimbin, yeah.
So that's a notorious hippie plus. Years were definitely my choice. But now, honestly, I'm so weak when it comes to even drinking. Even a beer, it sounds, I can't believe I'm saying this, but a beer now will give me a headache like champagne used to.
Yeah.
So now I'm just weak. I just stick to whiskey and to wine. I still like drinking beers, to be perfectly honest. It's just, I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm out of training. Like through my younger years, like early 20s, and before that, 18 plus basically, I was very good at training up, I think, my liver and my body and my soul to be able to crush beers.
It all goes downhill.
Well, yeah, I didn't expect the fall off so quickly. Or it was just maybe, I don't know, I became like a baby and just hated dealing with the consequences.
Yeah,
whilst previously
the next day
wouldn't have bothered me either way. But now the idea of like a day of just misery, it doesn't do it for me. However, funnily enough, whenever I've gone about traveling, hangovers just don't seem to exist.
Yeah.
Certainly not in the same form.
Yeah. This is what I was saying because I was going out so much when I was in Dubai because the weekend is just like you get the best deals on the weekends to go out and everything. And obviously I'd been talking in the group chat to these girls for the Australia group chat. And they were like, gosh, like seeing I was going out so much, they're like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hack it going out with you. And I said, honestly, do you know what? I'm not like this in the UK. I said, it's holiday mode. I said, I know I'm living and I'm working here, but I feel like I'm on holiday. And so I just never got hangovers when I was in Dubai. And then it's been the same here. I think my body has been on holiday mode for like 2 years now, which is great because in the UK I did get hangovers, but I think, I don't know. I think, do you know what it is? I haven't got the pressure of thinking, oh my God, I got work tomorrow or, oh, I need to do this. And you are in holiday mode. There's nothing to worry about. So I think I'm just lucky at the minute. I hope once I am working, I don't start getting them again. We'll see.
Well, if you manage to keep, I wonder if it is possible to stay in holiday mode, sort of like Dubai, because you were still working in Dubai.
Yeah, but it's the sun and
it's just the fact that
permanent.
the new place, the impermanence of it as well. It's
doing something different every weekend. It was so, I don't know.
Maybe we should test that. There should be
I'd take part in a clinical study for that.
A week at home where it's you're going about your work, same sort of amount, but like you still have to drink to excess, to the point where you should get a hangover. Compare that to go anywhere else in the world for the same thing, and same thing, drink to excess. Maybe still have a bit of work on. Yeah. How well?
Be quite an interesting study, actually.
I will volunteer as tribute.
Yeah, me too.
All right, someone I don't know who does do these studies.
Yeah.
Someone.
We'll find someone.
Okay, so Byron, again, now he's still moving north, still on the Greyhound.
Yeah, so it's still running. Yeah, so my mate had left me at this point because she wanted to go start working, and then I went to Port Macquarie because it was just going to break up the distance to Sydney anyway, and just because I thought it looked quite cute from Googling it. I thought it looked nice, and it was nice, but it was somewhere I would say now I would only probably go back there if I was a mum and I was going there for like a little family weekend getaway, because it was very family vibes. There wasn't really any backpackers there.
Yeah.
So, but it was pretty and it was cute, but it was quite dead. Like there was no one really my age to hang out with. So
where were you staying there?
I was in a backpackers.
Okay.
But it was just, it was a mixture of ages. I feel like a lot of it was people that were just there because they couldn't afford an apartment or something, or just because it was a cheap night before they were getting on a bus or something like that. It wasn't really... It was
a transition sort of...
Yeah, it wasn't that like communal
yeah.
vibe, and they didn't have any events on or anything like some hostels do. So it was a bit... But it was pretty, like it was sweet.
Okay, pretty little town.
Yeah, a good way to break up the distance to Sydney.
Maybe a bit more of a detox as well.
It was, yeah, it was. Yeah, I didn't really drink at all those days.
So then you're heading down towards Sydney now at this point. So, and with the Greyhound as well, is there a bus on board? You're getting on and off to do that? Or
Yeah. What, to Sydney?
No, so the Greyhound buses, do they have toilets on board?
Oh, they do, but they don't like you using it.
Yeah,
Every time you get on, they're like, do not use the toilet unless you're really, really desperate. We're stopping off at toilet breaks every couple of hours, blah, blah, blah. So, and I actually didn't use it because I just thought, is it going to be disgusting? And what's it going to be like sitting on the loo when the bus is going on a motorway? I just thought, so I would like not drink water at all the whole time I was on a Greyhound because I just didn't want to need to go for a wee. I was just like, I'm not feeling it.
I can guarantee, that I would not use it. Certainly not for number 2. I just can't imagine wanting to sit in there and then just let one loose.
Yeah.
With a bus full of people around you.
No, it's just, yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not super, like, I don't need to be completely isolated from the rest of the world during the process, right?
But
at the same time, I do like at least some level of anonymity and some quiet and silence.
That's not a big ask, yeah.
Yeah, 2 hours, it's like, I think I can, sort of manage that one. But I imagine that there must have been at least someone at some point in time that was, I don't give a fuck, and just jump on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember some girls, they came up and they were like saying to the driver, is there a toilet on board? And he was like, yeah. He was like, use your eyes, like getting annoyed at them. And they're like, can we stop? I'm going to be sick. And he wasn't having it. He was like, we shouldn't have had such a big night the night before. And they were like, they didn't know what to say. And yeah, he wouldn't stop for them. And I don't know, I guess she must have gone to the back and been sick in the toilet as we was on the motorway.
That's
and I
a bit
thought,
shit.
Poor girl. I thought that mustn't have been fun.
Yeah, that usually tells you that person was not having a good time. The bus driver, probably something else going on there.
Yeah.
So making your way down to Sydney, and this is not the last leg of the Greyhound tour because you go all the way down to Melbourne after.
You can, but I decided I didn't want to put myself through that.
Okay, you had enough.
Because I thought, it's just... it's great to come here because you realise the scale of how big this country is. So there was me thinking, when I look at a map, I think, Melbourne doesn't look that far from Sydney. But then actually I realised the Greyhound to Melbourne was going to be about 14 hours. And I thought, no, can't be. I still had like a week or 2 left on my Greyhound bus pass. And I just thought, no, I can't be bothered. I was like, I'm going to pay for the 3-hour flight. Well, no, it wasn't even that. It was an hour and a half, or something. Yeah. Thought I'll do that. So I flew there. So I still had the Greyhound. So you can do it all the way from Cairns to Melbourne if you want. But once I got to Sydney, I thought, that's quite enough now.
Enough bussing around.
That's enough bussing around.
And like the flight to Melbourne, how much was that? Wouldn't have been too much.
It wasn't too much. I can't remember now. I feel like it was... Because my brain's still working in pounds a lot of the time.
Okay, you're doing the conversion.
So I feel like it was like £80.
Okay, so let's just call it 2x. We'll go 160 just out of...
Yeah, I think it was something like that, yeah.
Okay, honestly, I'd cop that any day over a 14-hour bus ride.
I didn't mind when I was in Asia because in Asia, the buses, you get your own bed. So it's a sleeper bus. So you go like that. And you've got a little USB port to put your phone in. So you charge your phone and you just go to bed and you wake up, you're somewhere else the next day. But here, obviously, that's not a thing. So I did 15-hour buses like when I was in Vietnam and everything, but a 15-hour bus sitting up is very different to a 15-hour bus laying down.
Yeah.
So
Sleeper bus. I'd honestly never heard of it. That sounds
I
like...
did that everywhere in Asia. I didn't get any flights. I did buses everywhere.
Wow. Okay. Busing Greyhound. Guys, get onto it.
I know.
Get some sleeper buses.
Yeah, definitely.
So in Sydney, did you stay there long for that little transit before Melbourne?
I had a couple of days catching back up with my uncle and his family on the outskirts. And then kind of like what we were saying before, you need some days to break it up. I booked an Airbnb to myself in the city for 3 days. My family like, you're more than welcome to stay with us for the whole week. I was like, I love you, but I need 3 days on my own because I've been surrounded by people since the 4th of September, basically. So I had 3 days in an Airbnb, like just down the road from all the central things in Sydney. And it was lovely. I just sat and watched telly on my laptop and in the day just pop out, look around town. So yeah, I just had 3 days to myself to just relax before I was going back to being super sociable again in Melbourne and everything.
Would you consider yourself more on the extrovert line typically, or more?
Yeah, I would. I'm quite funny. I'm really quite a hybrid because I'm an only child, but I've got such a massive family. Like I was saying to you before, I actually have no idea how many cousins I have. I could not tell you. I don't know. Like that's because my mum's side of the family are so big. My dad's side of the family not as big, but still. So I've always been around people since I was little, even though I was an only child. We was constantly at someone's house, like all the time, like, and yeah, I don't know. So I like my own space, but I'm also like, if mum says, "Oh, your auntie's coming around in a minute," I used to go, "Oh, great," and come out and sit in the kitchen and catch up. So I'm a bit about. I like a couple of days to myself sometimes, but I do love being sociable and being in the mix of everything as well.
Because I always find sort of the travel side, you're typically on quite a high. At least when you're around the people that you're just really into, like the people that actually get along with super well.
Yeah.
Which I've always been fortunate to sort of find during travels is just like a group of people or a couple of people or a person who just jive with, and it's like, cool, everything's hunky-dory, like can kind of do, and like doesn't almost matter what you're doing at that point.
Yeah.
When you've got really good company, that was sort of a revelation for me was, in fact, the story really for me was in Sri Lanka in particular. I was doing just like a month solo around the place. Yeah. And I was very poorly figuring out where I wanted to go next. And the first night that I flew in, I got like a bus down to, I forget the name of it now, I'll have to check it out later. Otherwise my brain will explode. But just a random place, random hostel. Yeah. I just remember it was sort of like had a big wall around it. And I was only planning to stay there for sort of a night. And within dropping my bags down to sort of first walk out, bumped into like one person who was like, "Oh, I'm going for a beer." I was like,
okay,
wait, well, I'm just going to walk around. So just going to do that. It just turned out to be one person that I got really well with. And then it just happened to be that another person just sort of also got involved. And then from then on the next 3 weeks, I just traveled with these people that got, and I was like, I'd planned not to travel with people. I was like, I'll hang out with people, but then I'm going to move on by myself to somewhere else. Yeah. And somehow that became just way less appealing when I found good company.
Was that in Marissa by any chance?
Probably.
You think? Yeah. Because that happened to me. I was doing it on my own in Sri Lanka as well. And I planned maybe 2-3 days in Marissa, and I just hit it off with this group in my hostel. And then also like where we was, I was just, even before I'd met them, I was having such a nice time. And I ended up staying there for a week in the end when I was only meant to be there for 2 days. But I love when things like that, when I just wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it was as soon as I sat down and like somehow the conversation turned into like the education system in the UK. And besides from the fact that one of them was from the UK, we all just sipping on a Lion beer at the time, just all believing we've got fantastic opinions about the education. Just how funny, like
the world.
Not knowing any of these people here, and all of a sudden talking about an education system that I've never been a part of. No. It's like, we've all got opinions.
Give your input.
How interesting either way. Like we're all, we'll keep talking about whatever. Like, sweet. Okay, well that works. So that's really cool. So for you, your little downtime, like how, like you were saying, how important is that for you? Is it something you find that you're needing often?
Yeah, I don't
coming off the high?
like I need it too much.
Okay.
No, I'm quite lucky. I mean, Yeah, I feel like I just sometimes need like a day or two, or even if I'm in a hostel, if I'm in a hostel and I'm not in the mood to be social, I'll go out and do something on my own that day, and not sit in the hostel where it is being social or whatever.
Are you a big walker? Like, are you a big advocate of it?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do a lot of tours when I'm in the hostels anyway. I do a lot of day trips and stuff usually, or do the walk-in tours or whatever as well. So
there's something about, I mean, I know this is not true, but there's something in the back of my mind that tells me tours are somehow scamming me.
Why? I love a tour.
I honestly can't tell you why. I guess part of me thinks, I could
do
just
it on your own.
figure it out by myself. I never would and never do anyway, which is why you're meant to pay someone for the service of doing something you're never going to do yourself, and because it provides value. But I do like sort of the free walking tours, which you end up tipping them sort of anyway.
Yeah.
But I think, I've got like a poor perception of tours. Just for some reason, I'm like, I shouldn't be spending money on that. I could just go out by myself.
I do get you, but then on the flip side, I mean, tomorrow when I'm going to Rottnest Island, the person I'm going with is someone I met on the Great Ocean Road tour. I feel like, and then, I made friends with these two really funny Scottish girls back in Fraser Island. So when I was in Melbourne, they were texting me, let's go for a roast dinner. And then later today, I'm going for drinks with a girl, again, that I met in Melbourne that I went to a random painting class with, something I've never done before.
Oh, that the paint and sip.
Yeah, I'd never done it before. And then, so she's seen I'm in Perth and she said, do you want to go out later? And I said, yeah, I'll be about. So I feel like I get what you mean. You can do these things on your own. But when I have done these tours, whether it had been up in Queens and where I'm meeting people along, and I'm on the other side of other side of Australia now, and we're still crossing paths.
I guess that makes sense because if you're valuing a certain tour, you're going, well, I'm interested in that. And so someone else by default is also interested
equally
in something like that you're both interested in now. So you've already got that common ground.
Yeah.
So I honestly hadn't even thought of that. So I think that's if anything, if I was a tour company now, I'd be like, well, I'd be selling that experience more than the tour itself. It's
definitely.
Like, you're going to meet your best friend here.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Again, Sydney, you were like, I'm ready to head off to Melbourne after that little breather.
Yeah, just because it works out on that way anyway, and just because I always wanted to do it and see it. And everyone I had met kept saying to me, you're going to love Melbourne, whether they were 35, whether they're 18. Like, I met so many people this year that just kept saying to me, wait until you do Melbourne. And I was like thinking, what's the big fuss? And then now that I've done it, I'm like, yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed it.
What is the big fuss?
For me, I would describe it as like, I did like Sydney and I had a good time, but I feel like Melbourne kind of gives me kind of London vibes as well as Sydney does. But Melbourne gives me, so back home, like Shoreditch and Camden, two parts of London, and then Brighton. And there's actually a Brighton beach in Melbourne. Brighton's somewhere not too far from London. It kind of reminds me of that style of people, there's street art, the type of nights out you can go on. There was a night market I went to. It's all just, I don't know, it was just really fun. And it was just really easy to meet people in Melbourne, I felt like. And the hostel in Melbourne was so much fun. Again, it was a base. So, yeah, I don't know. I just had so much fun in Melbourne. And I did the Great Ocean Road day trip from there. And what else did I do? I did a few things, yeah. And I went to Tasmania from there as well. It's just, it's a really good stop off, definitely.
So along the stops so far, where were the best looking people for you?
Best looking people?
Yeah.
Probably Melbourne.
Melbourne, okay.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Congratulations, Melbourne.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, Melbourne's done well.
Okay, so that's how I would usually describe Sydney. Is great for sort of both day and night, but it's sort of that in between where it's there's lots you can do either side of that. It's not particularly amazing at one or the other. Melbourne is really good at the nightlife. Is what I always found. Big city vibes. Definitely. It's just, I guess, for lack of a better word, cooler.
Yeah, that's the only way.
There's more stuff going on that makes you go, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then you've got probably Adelaide, which kind of gets lost behind just the wine. But in terms of cost benefit for a holiday, Adelaide is quite strong just because it's quite cheap. Not many people go there, so it's still a little bit of an undiscovered, untouched place.
Yeah.
Tasmania, that's your outdoor hiking,
Yeah.
beautiful scenery,
Yeah,
bonanza.
it was very pretty.
Cairns, you've just got you've got the weather
Yeah,
year
it's lovely
round.
weather. Yeah.
And now you've got the added benefit if you're a backpacker, you can do hospitality work up there to claim your 88 or 179 days and get your second or third year visa. That's always an added benefit, I think. And then WA,
Yeah.
I've skipped Darwin now, but WA, Perth, we're more like a smaller Sydney.
Yeah.
So lots to do during the day, not nearly as exciting sort of nightlife. You have to be a little bit more like tricky and in the know to find like the events to go to.
Yeah.
But WA is more you get your four-wheel drive, you get your camping gear.
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to maximize your time in WA.
Yeah, definitely.
You'll find beaches to yourself. Again, you'll have as much room as you need, but it's not going to compete with a Melbourne for the
Night
cool
out.
in space and nightlife. And it won't compete with Sydney if you're still needing more people and more of a vibe on the other side of that as well, which I think is... Every place has its own, ups and downs with it.
Definitely. Yeah.
So you go Melbourne, you're having a bit of a vibe. You go down the Great Ocean Road tour as well. So that's to the 12 Sisters or whatever.
12 Apostles.
12 Apostles.
Yeah.
What was I getting confused with? Sisters. 3 Sisters, which I think is the Blue Mountains.
But,
the 7?
that's in London, I think, back home. I'm getting confused as well.
Okay, I think that's the 3 Sisters or 3 Witches or something in New South Wales Blue Mountains.
No. I think you're right. I think he said to us on our tour there was something... The cliffs were called the 3 Sisters or something.
Okay.
Like there was 4 and then one's broken away and now it's 3.
Yeah,
You're on the right track, actually. I think. Yeah.
All right, ding ding.
Shows how much
one
I was
Harry.
listening on that tour. Yeah.
Okay, so do the 12 Apostles. Again, I saw you take a couple of photos there. Like, did it meet expectation? Was it?
Yeah, it's lovely to see it in real life. It's like seeing the Great Barrier Reef in real life. It's like, okay, yeah, it is some limestone, but it's it's nice to see it in real life. It was just I just think it's cool to do these things and just be like, oh yeah, I did that. Yeah.
So now the real return on it, did you secure that? Is that where you found a friend, did you say?
Yeah, that was just on the trip that day. So tomorrow me and her are going to Rottnest.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so
right. So I feel like you got a really good return out of that tour then.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then I believe you went down to Tasmania after that?
Yeah, I went to Tasmania. I would have liked more time there, but it just didn't work out with everything else I've got planned for these next few weeks. So I just did 4 days. Yeah, 5 days, really. I flew back on the Friday. So what I did was each day I would do day trips from Hobart. But if I was to go again, I've noticed YHA, the youth hostel, they have like 5 or 7 day tours where you actually go all around, but I didn't have enough time to do that. And also I'd go at a time where the weather's going to be better because you're going to be doing a lot of hiking on that tour. So I wasn't too bad, like with the weather. The weather was decent, but yeah, if I did it again, I would do going around. Whereas this time I'd only had enough time to do just day trips from Hobart, which was still lovely and a good way to see things. So yeah, no, it was nice.
So with your trip so far, you've started pretty well north of Australia. We'll get rid of the initial Sydney beginning, but we'll just say from Cairns, you pretty much moved all the way down the east coast, all the way to Melbourne by this point, then flew again down to Hobart, Tasmania. Only done sort of a few day trips there. So this is over early September until how much?
Yeah, so
2 months?
I would say it all really began. I had the first week with my uncle when I landed on the 4th of September. Then I went into the hostel in Sydney on the 12th of September and we flew to Cairns on the 16th. So yeah, I'd say it all began from the 12th of September to what are we up to now? Like near the end of November it's taken to do Melbourne and then Tasmania and then get here to Perth.
Okay. And over the course of that time, so you haven't worked at all? Is that?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
So just been working on savings?
Yes.
Feel free to not answer, but have you stayed within budget?
Yeah, I'm luckily because obviously when I was working in Dubai, it's double the salary you make back home and it's tax-free. So
lovely.
I made more money than I've ever made in my life.
Did you know that going in to Dubai?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was part of the appeal.
Okay. Yeah.
So
earn twice as much, don't pay tax.
It was a good time.
Sign me up.
Yeah, I do miss that. I'm not going to lie. That was a very good part of it.
So over that course, again, you've largely done a lot of tours, but you've been savvy at least with like Greyhound bus rides and such, and staying at backpackers.
Get deals, and then always doing low to high on Hostelworld or whatever, getting the cheaper hostel and that. But we don't always, like, because that was the thing, is what you can do low to high and get the cheapest hostel, but then sometimes you end up in a hostel that's rubbish and you're just sat there miserable and thinking, oh, so you'd rather pay the extra $50 and stay in base or Nomads, because you know you are going to meet people and they have an event on every single night. So you're not sat in the hostel watching Netflix on your phone bored thinking, I could have watched Netflix back home. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I am very savvy, I would say, with my money, planning it all and doing it the cheapest way. But if I knew, like, you know, we're going to Noosa and it's going to be a good party scene, let's book into Nomads, not let's book into the cheapest hostel and be sat there bored for 3 days.
Yeah.
So,
well, I believe there was a genuine research paper done on this fact of like what sort of brings happiness. And I think it had to do specifically with travel. But the number one thing that you should spend on in order to increase the level of happiness you get during your travel is your accommodation.
Yeah.
Nothing else comes, I think, even close to that fact. And so ever since hearing that, I'm like, well, to me, that makes sense. Like your environment and like looking forward to going back to where you're going after having a day trip or a night trip, whatever it is. I think that psychologically is a huge benefit. Or if you need a day off and you're like, I'm so happy to just hang around here.
Yeah, to chill here by the pool or whatever, even if you don't want a party day.
You just don't want to, in the background of your mind, go off and do something like, oh, we've got to return that shithole.
Hostel. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I totally agree with that. I think if you're going to spend extra money, definitely do it on the place you stay.
Yeah. And then, and me and my mate, as we were doing the East Coast as well, what we would often do is like, right, what do we fancy today? We're going to have a really big breakfast and then a little dinner, or we're going to have a little breakfast and a really big dinner, so that we're not doing breakfast, lunch, dinner. Or other times as well, we'd go, right, we're not eating out for the next few days. We're just going to go to Woolworths and get a $5 microwave meal as well. So it's just seeing how you fare and just seeing how you feel on the day.
How much are you tracking your spend day by day?
I mean, I'm trying really not to look at it in a minute because it's quite depressing seeing it go down, because, I mean, I had so much savings when I walked away, but then I did a month in Europe before Australia, and then I did Singapore as well. And I had a month back home catching up with everyone that I hadn't seen for a year. So it's gone down a lot, but I'm okay. I start my farm work in January as well, so it's good to know that that's and I've got my birthday and Christmas next month, so I know at least I'll get
a little bit of a top up,
£20 or so from my mum and that. Yeah,
maybe 21.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can
we'll see.
Spare
we'll
it.
Push the boat out there.
Yeah,
see.
Okay, so over the course of mid-September, we'll say, up until early Jan. So you're obviously in Perth at the moment, WA.
Yeah,
and you'll be here for a little bit longer, and you're not going to start work until the new year in January. Over that time, how much have you actually budgeted for, and how much do you think you're going to spend?
I mean, I think I'm estimating. Oh, I don't know, because I don't actually like looking at it that much at the minute. I think it's got to be like I've spent at least like 7,000 or something pounds now to nearly 10,000.
Okay,
I think, yeah.
All right. Well,
but
what happens when you?
It is worth it. Like it is something I've always wanted to do. I've got money there that I never would have had before if I hadn't had that job in Dubai, and because you just don't make that type of money in the UK. So it's money that I never would have had anyway. And I personally, I don't get any joy from having a designer handbag or anything like that. To me, I look at a designer handbag and think that's a month in Vietnam. That's how my brain works.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't actually feel that upset. My money's going down, I can see it. But the last few months, I don't think I've ever laughed so much, and I'm doing things that I always wanted to do in comparison to, someone getting a nice car or whatever. I just get no joy from things like that.
I mean, that's a totally reasonable way to look at your money as well. I mean, as a side example, I have never had an issue, never had a regret of spending anything related to health. Whether it be anything relating to exercise or just food, good food for me, anything that's ever related to keeping me healthy. That has been it honestly would not matter. I don't think about it as do I have enough? That's it's gone at that point. I don't mind. I'm happy to be poor,
but I'm
feel a
if my shoes have broke or something and I've got to buy a new pair of trainers, I'm that annoys me. Whereas it's £50 on a tour, fine. £50 on a pair of trainers, my brain goes, like, I'm going low to high on the search engine. I'm trying to see which ones are on sale. Like, yeah, that's just always been the way my brain works.
But I think that's, again, it's just showing you what you value. And so ultimately, like, if you're getting return on that money being spent, which clearly you are.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the regrets, like, that's the perfect thing
Definitely.
to have spent money on.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be any concerns with that at all.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that, as everyone says, you've got plenty of time to work and make it back. And
Exactly. Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You'll never get this time back again, but you can always get a job again. That's the thing.
So farm work.
Mm-hmm.
I believe your friend, you said before, she left you around Byron area.
Yeah.
To go off and do her thing. And I remember you saying beforehand that she'd had a few issues. Did you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so it's a good thing to be aware of. Like, I'd heard horror stories about the farm work and that, and I hope she wasn't going to get into, but yeah, she's just had a nightmare ever since we've parted ways. She's had like 3 times she's been let down now. Just kind of, they tell you like, yeah, it's going to be great and you're going to have all this work in, and then it transpires it's not what they promised you. And yeah, so the first thing she got was actually like the same role that she has back home. And they said, we'll sign you off for your 88 days because it's counted as hospitality and blah, blah, blah. She's like, great, and accommodation and everything. And then on day 1 she got there and they were like, okay, so if you just go in the cafe and you're going to make coffee, tea or whatever and take the orders and make sandwich. And she went, oh, that's not what we agreed. And that's not what I sent my CV in for and blah, 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 and got the job for. And the workers at the time were like, oh, we don't know anything about this. You have to talk to the manager at the end of the day. And she spoke to the manager and the manager was just like, oh, well, we haven't got anything on at the minute, like no events and blah, blah, blah. So the job that we hired you for, you can't do it at the minute anyway. But so you'll just have to be in the cafe. She was a bit gutted, but she was like, whatever, I'm going to get signed off for my 88 days and I've got accommodation included and whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then comes to like a week later and they've come knocked on her door and they said, hi. And she was like, oh, you okay? What's up? And she went, yeah, we're going to have to let you go because you're just not good enough at making teas and coffees. And she was like, well, I'm not being funny. That's not the job you hired me for. And also, like, I'm not a barista. I don't know how to make cappuccino. I don't know. You can't just expect someone off the mark to be like, right, you go make a cappuccino now for that. I wouldn't know how to make a cappuccino. Do you know? I only know how to make an instant coffee or tea with a tea bag. Like, I wouldn't know what to do with tea leaves even. It was like a posh little cafe. So she was just like, well, why did you hire me? Like, you didn't.
What were they initially hired? What was the position? She
was meant to be for events and wedding planner, but they said they'll sign it off as hospitality. And then as well, like another red flag when they got there, they said they'll have to sign it off as construction. And it just all started seeming a bit. And then they knocked on her door and said that. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So.
Gutting.
Yeah. Then she left that. Then she got messed around by another company.
Is this through Facebook?
Well, that one she found.
Quick intermission.
Yep. There we go.
So I think you were pretty much just going through your friend.
Yeah. So she had that first thing where she was let down, and then she went on to one of the backpacker posts and like tried to find something, put a post out that she's looking for farm work, blah, blah. And she thought she had a very promising call and thought it was going to be fruit and veg picking. So great, counts towards your 88 days and make a bit of money before Christmas and everything like that. And when she got there, it was like all of a sudden they were saying, oh, it's an intro week. There's other people in the same boat as you. And she was like, okay, that's quite nice. But then all of a sudden they were saying like, oh, we're making a job profile for you. Blah, and she thought, okay, well, this is over. Right. I just wanted to go off and do fruit and veg picking, but whatever. They're like, oh, have you worked with kids before? And she's like, no. And they're like, okay, well, there's a family that need a nanny to look after their 3 kids on a farm. So we'll put you forward for that. Have you ever worked with horses before? And she went, no. And they went, have you ever rode a horse? And she went, well, when I was like 8. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to put you forward for this equine position, equestrian or whatever. And she was like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden they said, oh, we need your $200 fee now. And she went, what $200 fee? And they're like, well, because, it's like the intro week and blah, blah. And she was, what do you mean? They're like, well, because we're helping people set up their tax file number and blah, blah. And she's like, oh, but I've already done all that. Like, she'd done all that on her own weeks ago. But because she felt awkward and everyone was looking at her, she just handed the money over. And I was like, no, don't. Like, when she rang me later on and everything. And I said, just say to them, look, because as well with the childcare thing and the horse job and that. They said as well. I said, why are they putting you forward for that? That's not at all what you asked for and everything as well. And she said, oh, well, they said they'd give me a week training. She was like, but I'm not very comfortable with that. And I said, well, I'm an early years teacher, and I would not say a week's training is enough to be qualified to look after 3 children of all different ages. And also, you don't know anything about these children yet. And if you never worked with horses, like, how do you know what you're going to be doing with these horses? I was just like, I said, I think they're just messing you around like this last thing. I said, I'd get out there if you can. And she said, yeah, I'm feeling big red flags as well. And so she just said to them, look, I feel like I've been really misled here. I told you I'd just been messed around by my thing before, and that I wanted a fruit or veg picking job, and feel like I've been pressured to pay this 200 fee, even though you haven't really provided me with anything. I've already done my tax file number, and eventually they gave her the money back and everything, but they were like, oh, you know, if you stayed with us, we could have got you such a good job, blah, blah. And she was like, but I literally just want to pick fruit and veg just for a few weeks to tide me over until Christmas. It's not that deep. Do you know what I mean? They gave her quite a hard time about it. And then she went up to Innisfail, where some of our other friends were working on a farm.
A lot of bananas up there and things.
Yeah, and she thought everything was okay. And second day, they said, sorry, we're going to have to let you go. She said, why? They said, oh, because you're not good enough at the packing. You're meant to be doing 300 boxes a day. And she said, but no one told me I need to be doing 300 boxes a day. No one told me there's a target and this is, do you know what I mean? But then our other friend who was there, she said they're constantly doing that. They're getting rid of people. And another thing I didn't know that apparently they do, they see that people are getting very close to their 88 days, and then they go, okay, get rid of her, get someone in that's desperate to do their 88 days. So then that means that poor person that was, let's say, 8 days away from finishing is now in a panic and in a stress, trying to find somewhere to go just for 8. But then they don't want to take them on, knowing, oh, well, she's only going to be here for 8 days. So you've just got to be so careful. I'd already heard horror stories before I came out. And now that I've like had a friend experience it, I'm like, oh my goodness, I hope that doesn't happen to me. Like,
what are you doing?
The one I'm doing has been highly recommended by loads of English and Irish. So I'm very hopeful. I've seen everybody recommending her on this Aussie Backpackers page. So she runs a dairy farm. It's her and her husband, and they got 2 kids, and there's like an outhouse, and they only take like 6 backpackers at a time. And just because I'd seen so many people recommending her, I thought, I'll have a look at that. That's got to be a good sign, surely, if everyone put an at and her name and saying, contact this person, blah, blah, blah. And then when I did reach out to her, she gave me loads of information straight away off the bat. And she also said, if you want more information, I was actually recently on a podcast with one of my ex-backpackers, an Irish lad, and she sent me the link to that. And it was just him and her. He was interviewing her about like what she does, and he was sharing his time on the farm and how it was one of the best times of his life, and how he's recommended loads of his English and Irish mates to go on to do it since. So I'm feeling very hopeful about my one, but I am hearing...
It sounds very promising.
Yeah. I do hear quite a lot of positive things about the dairy farms, and I just always seem to hear negative thing about the fruit and the veg picking. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm hoping I'm going to be good with the milking cows.
So did your friend, sorry to go back, did she, was she linking up through like a labour hire group or a working hostel?
It's like a hive, like she's in a hostel, but they're all going to different farms every day. So I guess it is like a working hostel, yeah.
So with the working hostels, this isn't true for all of them, but a lot of them are now owned, or some of them are at least owned by labour hire companies.
Right.
So the hostel acts as just like the accommodation for the labour hire company to provide to the people that it will fling around to the different farms that they manage.
Yeah.
So that's how a lot of the working hostels, or again, at least some of the working hostels, we're aware of how they sort of function. And it's just a bit disappointing at times that if what they're advertising for isn't necessarily... You'll get there and it's like, oh, well, we may have said that, but actually, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, you're here now in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. What are you going to do?
What you want to just drive off? Like
Have you got a car? No.
And it's a bit annoying as well because just before, particularly during the pandemic, you had so many farming groups that were utterly desperate for workers, of course, and wouldn't think of turning someone away early, and how quickly, again, just because now there's lots of people in, how quickly the needle shifts, and now it's happy to get rid of people. It's just such a it's just give the people, like, if they worked well for you, let them finish off the 88 days. Like, if you lose out on a little bit of productivity or something, like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right.
I know, it's just like, it's the moral compass of it all. It just seems a bit off. Yeah.
But anyway, at least it sounds with your little dairy farm that is.
I feel like quite at peace with mine because it has been recommended by so many people. So I think that's the key to it now, is try maybe, I know it's nice to have things sorted before you get out here, but sometimes you are better off doing the East Coast and meeting people along the way and saying, have you done your 88? Or did you enjoy where you did your 88 days? And going somewhere where someone's actually personally not read it, because you don't know with all these reviews on the hostels, has the hostel owner just sat there and typed up those reviews himself? You just don't know, so it's better off talking to people. I think that's a very good little bit of advice. Try and verify with the people around you. I think that's probably going to be your best bet. Just before you head off, is there anything else that you wanted to cover before I hit you up with a few sort of quick fly? No, not really that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay, well, I've just got... Ooh. I think it's on the next page of this one. Oh, yeah. Okay, we'll see if we can get through a few of these. These are developing over time. And so if at the end of this as well, you're like, oh, you know what, you should ask the next person this. Happy to add that down as the Lindsay question at the end. Okay, on the trip so far, do you have any failures that stand out? I hate getting things wrong because I do everything right. I am one of those people, and my mum's the same. My mum is like, we book things, everything perfect, and like my mum's super organised as well. And she used to be the one that books everything, and now I'm older, I kind of take over and I book everything. And so with this East Coast trip, I would just, like I said to my mate, are you happy with that? Are you happy with this? This is the price. Right, I'll book all of this, and then if we half it, that's what you owe me. And she sent me off. So I booked everything, and I'd done everything perfect, every hostel, sorting us rooms. And then when we got to Gold Coast, before we went in the Versace, we were meant to be staying in just a normal little hostel. And we got there and they were like, okay, just for Lindsay Harmon? And I was like, no. I was like, for my friend as well. And they were like, no, it's just one person. And I was like, oh. And I was like, well, you got another bed that she can go in? And they were like, no, we're fully booked for the next week. And I was like, oh, and I was panicking because I know how much I'd seen, how much the hotels were even in Gold Coast if she couldn't get a hostel. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I've done so good at booking everything else the whole way down. But luckily she managed to get in a hostel down the road, but both of our hostels were awful. So once we did get into Versace, we were like, thank God, because we both had a terrible experience in our hostels. They were just rubbish. Oh, well, yeah, not the biggest failure. So
no, so it wasn't a bad one really.
No, but I guess that's probably the double check your bookings, particularly what year did you book?
Yeah,
that's a bit. I've had a few people get
and month. I did another time. I nearly booked for the month ahead, but I'd pressed over to November by mistake instead of October. But I realised. Well,
they say measure twice and cut once. Check 3 times before booking.
Yeah,
because twice, I don't think it's even enough.
No, it's definitely.
Double check that. Okay. So far, whilst in Australia, what is one of the best investments you think you've made? And that could be an item, it could be an experience like a tour, or it could be a literal investment. What is the best investment you think?
I don't know. I would say it's kind of, I would say going to one of those, like, I had my itinerary planned and everything, but it would have been quite overwhelming for me to sit there and book everything online myself. So I would say going to one of those happy travel shops is a good investment. Okay. Do that at the beginning of your trip and you're going to save yourself so much less hassle. I know it's easier to like book things as you go. But actually it was so nice that we sat down with the travel agent, Matt, at the very beginning in Cairns and said, this is what we want to do for the whole East Coast. And he got a calendar out and was like, right, you should do this for 2 days. You should do this for 3 days. And he helped us work it all out. So then we just knew what we was doing for the next 2 months. So I would say it's a lot of money in one go at the time, and you go, oh, because you're paying for the next 2 months in one go. But at least it's done. And then also, whatever is in your bank account after that, that's what you've got to play with for food and drink for the next 2 months. So I would say that's a good investment. It does seem overwhelming at the time. And we was in the shop for a long time. We was in there for a good 2 or so hours, sat there going over things, and we'd be wanting to book the Atlantic Clipper for that day, and then he'd go to book it for us and he'd go, oh, it's fully booked that day. That means you need to do a couple more days in Rainbow Beach before that, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I would say it's definitely a good investment to sit down in a travel agent like Happy Travels and just get it all sorted. Yeah.
I think that's what I would need.
It takes the pressure off you as well, because the travel agents are so helpful and everything as well. So, and
that's a free service as well. I mean, they're just getting commission from the bookings that they make.
From the sale of that you bought all those things in one go, basically.
And did you ever check to see if the price he was getting, could you get it? Did you ever check that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I checked, and it was he did get us things quite a bit cheaper. And like also that's that's a good one. Loads of people didn't know about this on the East Coast. So our travel agent, Matt, he got us this thing called a bed hopper pass. And what it is, I can't remember how much it was because I paid for everything in one go. But you get 10 nights with either Base or Nomad's hostel to use that bed hopper pass. So say, for example, when I was in Melbourne last week, I didn't pay for the hostel really because I used the 10 days of my bed hopper pass in one go.
Oh,
so, I must have paid something like $100 or $200 for that back in September. But really, like up front that week, I didn't pay anything because they just went, okay, yeah, you've still got 9 days left on your bed hopper pass, so we'll just book you in with that. So that is cheaper than if I had booked their normal weekly rate or if I had booked the nightly rate. So that's a good investment as well, as getting a bed hopper pass through Happy Travels.
Can you get 10, 20, 30, you can get as many days?
I think they've only got 10 at the minute. Okay. I wonder if they're going to work on getting more, because it did work out great, because I felt like I didn't spend anything last week in Melbourne. I was like, so it was quite good. Like, I was glad that I did pay for that back in September.
Yeah, and if it was about the 200 mark, then that's like $20 a night, which is pretty good.
Yeah. So
is that just for, I imagine, for like Base?
So just for Base and Nomads, yeah.
Okay. I like that bed hopper pass. Okay. I think that's going to become, that sounds like something that, like, why wouldn't you do that?
Why wouldn't you? It saves you the time.
And the money.
It's less money. So, yeah.
Well done to Matt.
Mm-hmm.
When you arrived, or sort of like during your travels, I at least am sort of constantly seeing similar questions pop up around the place that can be relating to just admin-based things, or, of course, looking for recommendations, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Was there any questions that you found were really hard to find answers for? And again, I hear a lot of confusion just about what you need to be able to enter the country, the whole money in the bank account issue, how it is that you can get your skills training, what's the USI number, Medicare.
Yeah.
Like, I hear things about that, but was there any particular questions you're like, there was always so much confusion about that you...
I mean, I feel like a lot of people get overwhelmed with the tax file number, how much money you need to have in your account when you come here, the Medicare, the superannuation, because it's just things we don't think about in the UK. So I feel like for a lot of British travellers and that, they're like, oh, whoa, it's a lot to organise, because you just normally rock up on holiday and that's it. You go to the beach, blah, 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 but you actually got to get some things set up here. But I feel like it's not that hard to set it up. Like, it's just sitting down and checking how to do it. But then I feel like you get a lot of people that are like, oh, we'll do it all for you for a fee of $200. And it's actually like, no, you could do that all on your own. But people go, oh, just give it to them just so I don't have to stress. But it's more straightforward than, I think it's the Medicare as well. I remember looking at the Medicare form and thinking, because it looks like pages and pages, but it's actually not. the other like 4 pages are if you have dependents, like if you have children, if you have a husband that you're planning to bring over as well. So really skip those 4 pages. Only the first page and like the last page is relevant to you. So I think things seem a lot more overwhelming than they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the only other thing that I would say is confusing for me in particular, and I think my friend Katie as well, she's been struggling with that as well, is your qualification back home is not the same as your qualification here. And it's so annoying because I've been working, you know, in December next month, it will be 10 years I've been working with kids. It's a long time. Like, I've got a lot of experience. I've got my childcare qualification. I've got other qualifications since then as well. And my childcare qualification is only recognised here as a certificate-free early childhood, whereas actually it's a diploma. So, and you guys have certificate-free, diploma, and then a degree. So when I do start working in childcare, I'll only get paid at the certificate-free salary. Really, in my mind, I should be paid at the diploma salary because I have a diploma and I have 10 years experience, like in the UK and internationally. So it's very, and it's also just finding, I think it's confusing for people to see if their qualification works out here or not. I know you guys have ACEQA, I think it's called. That's, you can check on there if your qualification is, but some people were saying they had to pay a fee to ACEQA to get their qualification transferred or all this, whereas I was lucky that mine was just, it's recognised and I can work on it, but it's only recognised as a certificate free, not a diploma. So I think that side of it is knowing if your qualifications work out here or not, or if you're planning on come in here long term, are you going to have to go on a study visa eventually? Are you going to have to work your way from the bottom back to the top, even though you already have all that experience and knowledge, which is frustrating.
Okay, well,
yeah,
honestly, I haven't even thought about the ACEQA. If that's wrong,
I'm pretty
check that
sure
anyway.
I've got that.
But we might even just explore that topic a little bit later down the line. And yeah, it sounds like that would be quite handy, but disappointing as well. 10 years of experience, that doesn't really mean anything.
It's
Sorry.
so underwhelming, as you just think as well, because I've worked in other countries as well. So it's like...
You have one person that now has a diploma. It's like, well, I get paid more. I've never done this before, but...
Yeah, no, this is what annoys me as well. With degrees back home as well, we'd have girls come in that have just finished their degree and, you know, there'd be a kid, like, crying on the floor and they're going... And I'm going... comfort him, like, what are you doing? They're like, oh, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, so you did a fantastic essay, but actually when it comes to being on the floor with the kids, you don't know what you're doing. And it's like, and you're getting paid more than me.
Yeah.
So annoying. Like, oh, it drives me mad.
Back to Dubai.
Yeah.
Okay, so just a couple more.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little bit of an abstract one. So
Okay.
if your trip was a book,
Mm-hmm.
okay, most books seem to have, you know, a central theme, sort of a message or two to sort of take away, you know, wherever it is that you're currently sort of sitting in your life as it sits, your trip, what's coming up and what's currently been. Is there something that you could sort of identify as like, here's sort of my central theme at the moment, or sort of the takeaway? For some people, that is the sort of transformation that you can go through of being like, this is more close to the person that I feel that I am. Or it may be like, I've actually found something that now I'm so passionate about that's the maybe business venture I want to move into in the future. Is there something like that, you know? That you
I mean, someone made me laugh the other day. Someone said to me, because they can't keep up with me because I'm constantly on the move at the minute, someone said, oh, you're like around the world in 80 days. And I thought, well, I suppose I kind of am. That's because they were saying they came out here and just went straight to work. I mean, some people, and I know another girl, she split off from us because she just wanted a routine and wanted to work again. Some people love that routine of going to work and it's exciting to be in a new city. But for me, that's kind of not enough at this point. Like, yeah, I can't wait to get to that point eventually. But for now, whilst I don't have my farm work until January, that's why I've meticulously planned everything, because I want to tick everything off so that when I do eventually start working, I'm not looking on Instagram at my friends in Noosa going, oh, I wish I went to Noosa, or, oh, I wish I did the Southwest Loop of Western Australia. But, like, at least I've done it. So I don't know. Yeah, I would say I don't know. Yeah, that's just I quite like that when someone said, "Oh, you're like around the world in 80 days." I think that would be the title of my book.
Okay.
Around Australia in 80 days. Yeah.
And do you think there'll ever come a time though that you'll be like, you know what, I don't want to continue seeing parts of the world that I've never seen before?
Oh no, I don't think so. I want to be like my mum and stepdad, the way that they were like, right, when you're 18, I'm going to carry on that tradition. When you're 18, we're going to take you, we're going to train you to go backpacking. I really hope my future kid is as interested in travel as me. And
I think it's hereditary. I think
so. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. If you had $1,000, £1,000 a day to manage with your budget for your travels around Australia, if you had that £1,000 a day that you could spend, what do you think you wouldn't actually change from what you're currently doing?
Wouldn't change. I don't know. Wouldn't change. As if I thought you was going to say, what would you change? Yeah. So I don't know. That's a really.
So this one is the idea behind the question is, I guess, trying to figure out what is it you're currently doing now that no amount of money would really change that, because you're already sort of almost squeezing out as much of the value you can, or you're just doing something that you would naturally do regardless.
I think, honestly, people say to me, if you had more money, would you not do the hostels and you just do luxury? And I said, no, because I had money, like a lot more money than I have now at the beginning of this trip. I said, it's lovely to do the hotels. And, I had a great time with Versace. But if I did the hotels the whole way down, I never would have met all the people I've met in these last few months. I never would be, going to Rottnest Island tomorrow with this girl that I'd met and all these other things. So, yeah, I'd probably treat myself to a nicer dinner and cocktails instead of beer. But actually, I would still stay in the hostels, because that's like where your funniest memories come from, and people that you never would have met in your hometown, you meet in the hostels and stuff. So I wouldn't change that if I had $1,000 a day still.
Yeah. I think that was when I thought about my sort of answer. I was like, I'd still do the hostels.
Yeah.
Maybe not as often, and again, you treat yourself a bit more often.
Yeah.
But like just
maybe book a private room every now and then in the hostel, but still go down to the hostel bar every night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you currently have a drink of choice, or are you a rotator?
No, it's depending on the state at the minute. In Queensland, I was a Great Northern girl the whole way down.
Okay, nice.
Because it's cheap and it's the highest
Very
percent
ochre.
when you go on the draft. So that's the way I work. And then where else? Since I've been in Melbourne, it's been, what's it called? Carlton Draft, is it called?
Yeah.
Yeah? Is that
terrible
one?
beer.
Yeah, it's not as good as Great Northern, but it's the cheapest when you go up and look. It's cheaper than a pale ale or whatever. So that's how I'm being cost efficient when you're saying how I'm managing my money.
Yep.
It's embarrassing the first time you ask the barmaid what is the cheapest and what is the highest percent. But once you've done it once, then you know it in every other bar you go to. So it's fine. So that's my go-to at the minute.
I think for 3 or 4 years plus running, you may have never heard of it, Hollandia beer. So it's you won't be able to get it on tap anywhere.
No.
But you'll get it in
the
cartons.
Okay.
And I think it was in its prime a couple of years back, like $30 a carton.
Yeah.
And it was like the only beer that was coming close to that. Full strength beer, still normal, whatever. But $30, it's unheard of now. Can't get that anywhere. Last couple really is a bit more fun. I've seen you go around to lots of different zoos and such around the place, or at least animal sanctuaries. I saw a Billabong sanctuary, I think it was. Favorite Australian animal so far?
Oh, well, I don't know. It's so cool seeing them in real life and not on like when I was young and we used to get in from school, like we loved Steve Irwin as much as you guys did. Like on our kids' channel, they often used to play like a Steve Irwin kid program or whatever. So it's so cool seeing them in real life. But for the first time the other day, I saw Tasmanian Devil when I was in Tasmania. So I actually didn't even know what one looked like. I hadn't even Googled one before. And I was like, when I was in the sanctuary, I went, what's that? And someone went, Tasmanian Devil. And I was like, oh yeah, like we're in Tasmania. I felt a bit embarrassed. I was like, and I was saying it wrong. I've been saying a lot of things wrong since I've come to this country, because I read as I see it and read it in my British way or whatever. I thought it was pronounced Echidna, and it's
Echidna.
Echidna.
It's Echidna. Nice.
Yeah. And so I said it the other day and my friend went, what are you talking about? And I was like, the spiky one, Echidna.
I love that. It's
and they're
so
like,
good.
Echidna. I was like, no, it's echidna. I was like, oh, okay. So that was quite a cool one to see as well.
I like that, the Echidna.
But I like the wombats as well. They're cute.
They get quite large as well. They get like actually quite mountainous.
Yeah.
There was a while, I don't know if it happened, but we were going to convert some natural fauna into being allowed as pets as a way to sort of safeguard them against extinction.
Ooh.
Because it turns out when people can have things as pets, they do very well. They manage to survive and, they breed very successfully when we like an animal. So the wombats, I think it was like the hairy-nosed one. I think there's two types or whatever. Either way, it was. I don't know if it happened, but these big old wombats, I remember as a kid being like, oh, well, if they do make those pets, I'd have a wombat.
Okay, well, that explains why the one in Tasmania looked cuter than the one in Townsville. Because I thought the one in Tasmania, I was like, that one's really cute. But the one in Townsville, I was a little bit like, ooh, he looks a little bit scary. Yeah. So I didn't realise there was two types.
Well, apparently they can be quite aggressive as well.
Yeah, so I heard they can be quite vicious.
Yeah, careful with the wombats, everyone. They're almost as bad as the drop bears.
Oh my gosh.
That is actually the end of our little discussion. So again, thank you very much for joining us as well. And I'm sure your travels are going to be still very colourful with many things and cool things to come. So I hope it's a really good time whilst you're around here, especially the farm work, hopefully the dairy farm. I mean, if you've got a legitimate person talking to them, podcast, that what a great time. That's hard to scam. That's hard to be a fake.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to fake a podcast.
Yeah,
and
it's
get
a lot
it
of
on
effort.
Spotify. Yeah,
you know what? You deserve to have people come to you and show them a terrible time if you pulled that off. So anyway, I hope it goes really well. Thanks so much for having a chat with us and a yarn, and hopefully we can do it again down the line if it so happens.
Fab. All right. Thank you so much.
Oh, before you go, I guess I think I asked you early on if in whatever future, it could be a year, 2 years, 3 years time, if you did want anyone, do you want people trying to reach out to you all for anything? Or,
I mean, just if people want advice and stuff. I mean, that's the thing I find coming out here, if you don't know, and as well, if you've never done solo travel. I think I'm quite blasé because I've done it before and I've kind of got no fear. But I see so many people on the Australia Backpackers like Facebook group saying, hi, I'm coming out, I'm 22, I've never travelled before, I'm really scared, I don't know. And for me, I'm just kind of like, oh, if I meet someone, I meet someone. If I don't, it's fine. I meet someone at the next place. So I'd just say if anyone wanted any tips or advice at this point, because I'm not really plugging a business or anything at the minute. I'm just, travelling and having fun at the moment.
If Lindsay ends up wanting to chuck a little detail down, we'll put it in the description somewhere. So if someone needs a tip or advice. But otherwise, thanks again. It's been really fun.
No worries. Thank you.
All the best.
Cheers.